app and found 3 beautiful ladies right away. Fiona is an art dealer from San Francisco. She has never had a serious relationship before, but she would like to settle down. Mary is a vegan, yoga teacher, and human rights enthusiast. She loves French cheese and enjoys watching sunsets on the pier. Betty is a firefighter. In her spare time, she writes songs and performs them with her music band. Brad likes them all equally. Can you give him advice on who he should invite on a real offline date? Look at this wedding picture in Fiona's profile. She's the bride, but she claimed she had never been married. Mary is also a liar. Vegans don't eat cheese, so Brad should text Betty. As soon as Betty received a text from Brad, she ran to the bathroom to get ready for the date. She got her hair done and took out several lipsticks. Betty is a tomboy, which is why she uses makeup very rarely. Can you help her choose the right lipstick for her date? This lipstick is way too old. Look at the date. It was made in 1999 and expired a long time ago. And there's a spider inside this lipstick. Betty should choose the second one. Meanwhile, Brad took a shower and prepared to put on his favorite white shirt. But when he pulled it out of the closet, he discovered that someone had stained it with chocolate. Brad questioned his 3 brothers. Jim said he'd been cooking dinner in the kitchen. He didn't even come into Brad's room that day. Bill said that he entered Brad's room about an hour before to borrow a charger for his phone. And Mike said he'd been partying with his girlfriend all day and had just returned home. Who is lying? Bill. If he borrowed a charger 1 hour ago, why is his phone still at 1%? Brad decided to prank his brother Bill and cut 2 holes in his t-shirt. How many holes does the t-shirt have now? 8. These 2 holes are cut through the t-shirt. That makes 4 holes in total. Plus, there are 2 holes for the arms, 1 for the head, and 1 at the bottom of the t-shirt. Betty and Brad met in a restaurant. It was love at first sight. A waiter came over and said, "Good evening. What would you like to eat?" Betty answered, "I'd like something that is red, but it can be green at times, and sometimes it's yellow." The waiter cracked her riddle immediately and brought her the food she'd ordered. What was it? An apple. Brad liked the game and offered the waiter one more riddle. It can be red and it can be green. It can be black or it can be white. It tastes delicious with other dishes, but not on its own. In a minute, the waiter brought Brad his order. Have you guessed what it was? Pepper. After dinner, Brad and Betty went for a walk in the park. They were so focused on each other that they got completely lost. They began looking for a way out and came to this weird crossroad. There were 4 different roads. Each road had a sign, but the signs had no words. Still, Brad and Betty knew which path to take. What about you? This one. It's the only right hand. 5 months later, Betty moved in with Brad. They shared a family house with Brad's 3 brothers. One day, Betty got a new longboard as a gift for Brad's birthday. It was a surprise, so she locked it in a basement and went to buy some groceries for dinner. When she returned, the longboard wasn't there. She realized that one of the 4 brothers must have pulled a prank on her. Brad said he hadn't seen anything. Jim said he'd noticed the longboard while walking past the basement, but he'd been in a hurry to get to his training. Mike said he had spent the day downstairs baking cookies for his scientific club. And Bill said he'd been on a business trip. Who is behind the mysterious disappearance? Jim. Betty locked the room. It means he couldn't see the longboard unless he broke in. Brad's brothers came home after work and met Brad in the kitchen. The guy was anxious because Betty was missing. The brothers asked him to tell them everything in detail. Brad said, "Well, she made me a birthday cake with ice cream this morning. I wanted to try it, but she said we'd eat it in the evening. We argued a bit. Then I went to work. When I got back, she was gone." As soon as the brothers heard Brad's story, they called him a liar. Why? He said Betty had made the cake in the morning. Then why hasn't the ice cream melted yet? Brad got a job as a chemistry teacher. Wait, who stole his money? Brad found only one person's fingerprints on the wallet, his own. He questioned his 3 colleagues. Math teacher Jennifer said that she'd been having lunch. History teacher Becky said, "I didn't feel well yesterday, so I went home early." And English teacher Sam said that he'd been checking his students' homework in his classroom. Who is the thief? The history teacher. She used gloves to steal the money and then threw them in the trash. Betty and Brad were walking down the street. Suddenly, they met a weird-looking guy. He introduced himself as a magician and asked, "Do you guys want to get rich? Crack this 3-digit code, and the money is yours." He gave them a heavy suitcase with a combination lock and a piece of paper with this riddle. A. 548. In the first line, one number is correct and well placed. B. 530. In the second line, nothing is correct. C. 157. In the third line, 2 numbers are correct but in the wrong places. D. 806. In the fourth line, 1 number is correct but in the wrong place. E. 647. And in the fifth line, 1 number is correct but in the wrong place. Can you help the guys? You can use different approaches to crack this riddle. The easiest one is to start with statement B. None of these digits are correct. Therefore, we can exclude numbers 5, 3, and 0. In statement C, we're told that 2 numbers are correct, but in the wrong places. We can conclude that numbers 1 and 7 are in the final code, but we still don't know the order. Now let's take a look at statements D and E. In both of them, 1 number is correct, but in the wrong place. We already know that 7 is in the code. It means the remaining digit can't be 6. Then it must be 8. Look again at statement A. Since the correct number is 8, it must also be correctly placed. In statement C, we have 2 correct numbers, but they're in the wrong places. Since the third position in the code is already occupied by 8, we can only have one option. 7 should go first, and 1 should be second. Then the correct code is 718. Brad and Betty opened the suitcase. It had $50 million inside. They quit their jobs and went on vacation right away. They checked into a fancy hotel and went to their room to get some rest after a long, exhausting flight. In the evening, they went downstairs to have dinner in a cute Chinese restaurant. But one of the guests is not human. Can you spot who it is? Take a closer look at this guy's plate. It doesn't look like human food at all. When Betty and Brad returned to their room after the meal, they discovered that all their money and gadgets were gone.
Oh, no.
The hotel security manager asked 3 guests the same question. What were you doing within the last 2 hours? Dan said that he had spent all evening in the swimming pool area. Courtney said she'd been chilling in her room with her besties and had nothing to do with the robbery. And Henry said he had just returned from a party in another part of the city. Who's the thief? Courtney. The security manager didn't mention any robbery, but she started making excuses straight away. Brad decided to jump with a parachute, but he landed not as successfully as he had expected. As soon as Betty found out about the accident, she rushed to the hospital. In the room, she saw an unconscious person, completely in bandages. She asked a doctor who was passing by, "Sir, please let me in. It's my boyfriend." But the doctor told her that the patient was a woman. Who is right? It's a man. Look at the name tag on his bed. Brad got well pretty quickly, and Becky took him on a romantic trip to an ancient castle. They were walking around the place and taking pictures, but suddenly, all the doors slammed shut. The guys were trapped inside. Brad found a door with a 4-digit combination lock, and Betty found this piece of paper on the floor. Can you help the guys crack the code and escape? The correct code is STOP. Take the first letter of September, the 6th letter of August, the first letter of October, and the 2nd letter of April, and you'll get the word STOP.
Oliver is walking in the rain. Suddenly, he sees a woman without an umbrella or hat. But she's not getting wet at all. How is this possible? The woman is walking inside a covered area, such as a covered sidewalk. 4 friends go hiking and take a picture by the lake. Can you spot anything weird? This guy doesn't have any reflection in the water. Sarah checks into a fancy hotel. She feels very hungry, but unfortunately Sarah missed the dinner hours. That's why she calls room service and orders a vegan dinner set. 15 minutes later, someone knocks on her door. She looks through the peephole first. Sarah. Oh great, a fake waitress. How did she know? The waitress is fake because she didn't know that Sarah ordered a vegan meal. Kelly and Kim start a quarrel on the plane. It's Kim's private jet, so she wants everything to be her way. But Kelly gets mad at her. She runs up to the exit door, opens it, and jumps out. It happens so fast that the crew don't have time to do anything. Kelly doesn't have a parachute. She breaks her leg but survives. How come? The plane had already landed. Nick is driving down the road and his car runs out of gas. He sees a cabin in the woods and decides to ask for help. When he gets there, he finds 3 people inside. They offer to help him, but only if he agrees to stay there forever. Why? Nick stumbled upon a group of runaway criminals. They're afraid that he would tell others about their location. Early in the morning, Detective Robinson receives a call from his neighbor, Ethan. Ethan, please come as soon as possible. Someone attacked my wife. Robinson arrives at Ethan's house and sees this scene. Can you guess what happened to his wife? Take a look at the calendar on the wall. They pranked the detective because it was April 1st. The city has been taken over by zombies. Let's take a look at this group. Only one of these zombies is a male. Can you guess who? The first zombie is wearing a bra, and the second one has a badge with a female picture and name. Therefore, only the third zombie is a male. Tom works in a secret agency specializing in people with psychic abilities. He's having an interview with 3 people claiming to be superheroes, but only one of them really possesses some supernatural powers. Can you help him spot this person? Take a look at the third lady. She's holding her phone with the power of her mind without even touching it. Stella and Bella go on vacation. They take 2 pictures on the beach. Can you spot 10 differences between them? You can pause the video if you need additional time. Ready to see all the 10 differences? Here they are. Steve arrives at work and turns on the corporate laptop. Oh no! Someone has changed the password. Steve looks around and finds a sticker with a clue. 32, 18, and 29. He enters the number, but it doesn't work. Can you help him crack the code? Steve should literally enter 3 2s, 1 8, and 2 9s through underscores. 222, 8, 99. Gabriel is an art teacher. He enters the studio to check his students' work. One of these people is a ghost. Can you guess who? It's the model. She's posing for a portrait, but everyone sees through her. Dan wakes up in a creepy cage. He needs to figure out a 5-number code to escape. He only has this picture as a clue. Can you help Dan crack the code? To solve this mystery, we need to count the number of legs that each object in this picture has. The human has 2 legs, the fish has 0, the ladybug has 6, the dog has 4, and finally the spider has 8 legs. So the correct code is 20648. Alex went hiking and got lost in the woods. The sun had already set when he finally found a road. 3 drivers stop and offer him a ride to the nearest village. Can you help Alex choose the safest option? There's a zombie arm sticking out of the second car's trunk, and the third driver has suspicious pointy ears and shiny eyes. So he's probably a werewolf. Therefore, Alex should probably trust the first driver. I'm very easy to lift, but very hard to throw. What am I? I'm a feather. Kim downloads a dating app hoping to find her true love. She likes these 3 men equally. They begin to chat, and the guys send her some selfies. Each man claims to be single. But in fact, only one of them doesn't have a girlfriend. Can you guess who? Brian sent Kim a cute bathroom selfie. But take a closer look at his shelf. He has one male razor and another pink razor, which probably belongs to his girlfriend. So goodbye, Brian. Meanwhile, Kyle took a selfie in his bedroom. Luckily, he left the closet open so we could see his girlfriend's clothes and shoes. So only Harry is a single person, and Kim should give him a chance. Jenny goes for a walk to her favorite park. Suddenly, she gets attacked by a crowd of zombies. Jenny gets terrified and begins to run away. There are 3 possible routes in front of her, but only one of them will actually take Jenny to a shelter. Can you help her escape? Jenny should choose Route C. Ethan owns a successful flower shop, but today he's very upset. Someone has stolen all the red roses from the storage room. Ethan questions 3 suspects among his staff. Leah, the chief florist, says, "I spent the whole day creating bouquets with pink lilies for a wedding ceremony." Donna, the manager, says, "I don't know who stole the roses. I didn't even enter the storage room today. I was consulting our clients all day long." And finally, Mike, the florist assistant, says, "Fresh red roses were delivered early in the morning. I brought them to the storage room, and I've never entered it again. Who's lying?" Leah. There are no pink lilies in the bouquets that she made. Lauren changes a 6-number password on the office door to avoid thefts. She leaves this little clue for all her colleagues. Bagel. Can you guess the correct code? To solve this mystery, we should calculate the number of each given letter in the alphabet. B implies 2, A implies 1, G 7, and so on. So the final password is 217512. Helen meets a handsome guy at a supermarket. She falls in love at first sight. His name is Robert, and he came here with his sister. Can you guess which one of these ladies is his sister? It's the third woman. She's the only one who's shopping without a separate cart or basket because Robert carries it. The police officer is chasing Kendra, who had just robbed a jewelry store. The teenager sneaks into the nearest school, and the officer follows her. She notices Kendra's hoodie by one of the doors and enters the classroom. There she sees 4 students who look like Kendra. Can you decide who's the real robber? This one is Kendra. She has neither books nor pens on her desk. Let's go ahead and take a look at these 2 pictures. Can you spot 10 differences between them? Ready to see the solution? Here are the 10 differences. It's a Sunday afternoon. Most people are spending it at the local shopping mall. Nothing usually happens here. But suddenly a man snatches a woman's bag and runs away. The woman calls a security guard and yells, "Don't just stand here, go after him!" But the thief has already disappeared into the crowd. Can you help the guard find the thief? He's over here. Sam gets promoted and throws a fancy party for his best friends. Josh, Kate, Brad, Bill, and Holly. Everything goes great. But the next morning, Sam finds out that someone broke into his safe and stole his family treasure, a golden egg. Sam questions his friends, but each swears to have nothing to do with the theft. The police officer looks through the pictures that Sam took yesterday. After comparing these 2 shots, he spots the thief. What about you? Yesterday, Holly was wearing a classy hat. In the first picture, the hat is pressed close to her head. And on the second one, the very same hat is much taller. That's because she hid the golden egg inside it. Violet returns from a business trip. She enters her office and sees a beautiful gift basket on her table. There's a love note from a secret admirer attached to the package. Violet gets very curious. She figures out 3 suspects and asks them just one question. "Did you send me the gift basket?" Liam replies, "Nope, I would have sent you sunflowers instead. I know you love them." Jason says, "I overslept today, and I've just arrived at the office, so I wouldn't have had time to prepare a surprise for you." And Kenny says, "I didn't send the basket, but when I entered your room in the morning to put some documents on your desk, the basket was already there." Who's the secret admirer? The love note is written on a pink sticker. Kenny has similar sticker notes in his workspace, and his handwriting is very similar to the love note. Busted! Tyler receives a message from his new girlfriend, Kitty. She invites him over for dinner. Tyler has never been to her house yet. He takes his scooter and hits the road right away. But unfortunately, he gets lost on the way. His navigator breaks down and shows him 3 confusing routes. Can you guess what route leads to Kitty's house? Tyler should take the first route. Alex is heading to a family dinner, but he's really broke and he only has 8 chocolates. He needs to divide them equally between his 3 sisters. How many cookies would each sister get? Zero. Alex has chocolates, not cookies. Nellie's father has 5 daughters. The name of the eldest daughter is April. The second daughter is May. The third one is June. And the fourth daughter's name is July. Can you guess the name of his 5th daughter? Nellie. A gardening fair takes place in a village. The top 5 local gardeners show their best flowers. But one of them brought fake plants to prank the villagers. Can you spot the fake? Bumblebees fly around all the plants except for the 4th flower pot. Insects don't get attracted to these roses because they're artificial. Dylan is exploring a remote forest area. Soon he gets lost and has no idea where to go. Luckily, he comes across a small cabin in the woods and sees a forester. Dylan. Hello, could you please tell me how I can get to the railway station? Forester. Go down this trail until you reach a crossroads. There, you'll see a rock with signboards. Just remember, the left one lies, and the right one tells the truth. Dylan follows his advice and soon finds the rock. Can you guess which way he should go to reach the station? Since the left sign is lying and the right one is the truth, Dylan should walk straight ahead. Claire puts on a classy white suit and goes for a walk. Suddenly, a big dog pops out of nowhere and jumps on her. The dog stains Claire's outfit with dirty paws. She gets furious and yells, "Whose dog is this?" Can you spot the owner of this animal? It's the second lady. She's wearing the same collar as her dog.
Hey, meet Callum, the world's best detective. You ready for a ride-along? Let's go. It was a rainy and gloomy day, and Detective Callum was having a snack in his office. Suddenly, a woman burst in and asked for help. She said she had hung her laundry outside to dry, then gone back in the house to watch some TV. When she went back out, her favorite dress was gone. She suspected her neighbor, Jane. She was always jealous of that dress. She even wanted Jane arrested. Detective Callum wasn't impressed. He said she had just made up the whole story. How did he know? It was a rainy day. Who'd be silly enough to hang their laundry up outside? There was a speedy thief in town who ran so fast that no one could catch her. After a lucky tip-off, the police saw a woman climb in through a store window. They surrounded the store. Inside were 3 women. Detective Callum was called in to interrogate them and identify the thief. When the detective arrived, he didn't even need to ask a single question. He knew exactly who the thief was. Which one was it? It was the third woman. These 2 are wearing heels. They wouldn't be able to run in those things. The third woman is wearing sneakers. A downtown bank was robbed. There were 2 criminals, but police could only catch one of them, Bill. Bill refused to say who his accomplice was, but the police had already rounded up 3 suspects, Harry, George, and Ben. They called up their trusty friend, Detective Callum. The detective only needed 5 seconds to crack the case. I'll give you 7. It's Ben. Look, he has the exact same tattoo as Bill. Several women had gone missing recently, and even though it was a small town, police just couldn't catch a break. No clues for months. One day, Callum spotted the kidnapper going into a small abandoned shed. When he burst in, he found himself looking at 3 women. They all said they were locked in this small room and hadn't been out in months. But Callum knew one of them must be the kidnapper who was just pretending to be a victim. The first woman said her name was Genesis. She had been there about 8 months. The second woman, Tatum, said she had been there about 6. The third woman, Chloe, said she'd only been locked up for about 2 months. The detective knew exactly who the kidnapper was. Do you? It's Tatum. Look at her nails. She has a fresh manicure. 6 months? Yeah, right. The owner of an ice cream parlor filed a theft report. Someone stole all the money from the register. He was only gone for like 2 minutes. Detective Callum showed up 20 minutes later. There were 3 people inside. Ainsley said she had been talking on the phone with her friend. She hadn't seen anything. Rhett said he just arrived a couple of minutes ago. Joshua said he wasn't really paying attention. He didn't notice anything. So, can you figure out who's lying? Who stole the money? Rhett said he had just arrived, but his ice cream's already melted. Liar. Phoenix wanted to get her dad the best birthday present ever, but she didn't know what he wanted. She decided to break into his laptop to see what he had saved in his online shopping cart. One problem, the laptop required a password, and Phoenix didn't know it. Luckily, there was a note next to it. She sent a picture of it to her friend, Detective Callum. He solved it right away. Can you? The note doesn't make sense because it's upside down. Flip it over and you'll see a sequence of numbers 88, 89, 90, 91. The numbers before it are 86 and 87. So the password is 8687. Detective Callum traveled to a small neighboring city where young women were being kidnapped every day. 4 had already gone missing. They all lived on the same street. Their names were Ava, Bella, Celeste, and Daphne. There were only 3 women left on the street: Ava, Riley, and Georgia. Callum had to act fast. Who would be the next target? The women are getting kidnapped in alphabetical order: A, B, C, D. The next target will be Ava. Mr. Coleman's mansion was robbed while he was on vacation. He immediately called Detective Callum. Everyone who had been to the house got interrogated. Sydney, his sister, said she'd gone to the house a couple of times to find some papers on Mr. Coleman's desk. Samantha, the gardener, said she'd come every week to water the plants. Asher, the cleaner, said he'd come every Friday to clean the house. Callum found all 3 of their fingerprints on Mr. Coleman's desk. He now knew exactly who the robber was. Who? It was Samantha, the gardener. Sydney and Asher had a reason to touch the desk, but Samantha wasn't even supposed to be in Mr. Coleman's office. There aren't any plants in there. A rich woman was robbed on her private yacht during a ferocious storm. A witness said they saw Kai watching the woman right before she was robbed. Kai denied everything and said he was in his cabin at the time, writing a letter to his wife. Detective Callum asked to see the letter. 5 seconds after Kai handed it to him, Detective Callum put him in handcuffs. Why? Kai said he wrote the letter during the storm. There's no way his writing could be this neat when the entire yacht was swaying around like crazy. Logan, a young businessman, was poisoned in his house. Detective Callum was on the scene. Pretty soon he had 3 suspects. Logan's girlfriend, Michaela. She said she hadn't seen him that day because she was busy at work. Next, there was his business partner, Rob. Rob said they'd had an argument and they both got pretty angry, but he hadn't poisoned Logan. The last suspect was Blair, the driver. She said she wouldn't know how to poison someone even if she wanted to. Who should Detective Callum arrest? Look, there's fresh lipstick on Logan's shirt. It matches Michaela's. But she said she hadn't seen him that day. Suspicious. Eloise found her friend Fleur poisoned in her room. She called Callum and told him she was walking past Fleur's house and noticed her light was on. She texted her, but Fleur didn't respond. She got really worried, so she broke a window, climbed in, and found her on the floor. But Detective Callum didn't believe her. He immediately arrested her for poisoning her friend. Why? Eloise said she broke a window to get in. If that was true, the broken glass should be inside the room, but it wasn't. Eloise had to cover her tracks, so she broke the glass later from the inside. A college student was robbed during a flag presentation. Detective Callum arrived to investigate the case and interrogated several suspects. Kennedy said that she was in the bathroom at the time. Gavin said he'd noticed that the Japanese flag was hanging upside down, so he'd gone over to fix it. Eleanor said that the student who was robbed was her best friend. She would never do that. Who's guilty? It's Gavin. He said that the Japanese flag was hanging upside down, but that flag looks the same either way. He's lying. Someone stole a diamond necklace at a private VIP party. The police followed the robber into a boutique store. There were 3 customers, and they didn't know who the robber was. So they called Detective Callum. Adele said she'd never even been to a VIP party. Those things are for wealthy and famous people. Joseph said he'd never even heard about the party. Florence said she'd been in the shop for the last half hour, trying to find that perfect accessory. Who should Detective Callum arrest? Adele. She's wearing a gold bracelet and earrings. Seems like she was just at a pretty fancy event. Maybe a VIP party? Detective Callum got word that some outer space species had landed on Earth. He had a special mission to spot the aliens and report the information. He walked into a cafe. Aha! I spotted one. Who did he suspect? It's that dark-haired guy. He has 6 fingers. Mr. Brown, a wealthy businessman, was robbed last night. Detective Callum arrived as soon as he could and questioned 3 of Mr. Brown's neighbors. Mrs. Jonas said she got back late last night and went straight to bed. Mr. Polson said he'd always wanted to see the ocean, so he went on vacation to Bolivia. He just got back about an hour ago. Mr. Tanner said he'd spent the whole day working in the garden and went to sleep around 8 p.m. Who did Detective Callum arrest? Mr. Polson. He said he went to Bolivia to see the ocean, but Bolivia isn't next to an ocean. Richard ran into his boss's office. Finn had just hit him in the bathroom for not helping him with his weekly sales presentation. But Finn denied it all. The boss called his golf partner, Detective Callum. He arrived, looked at Richard and Finn, and somehow knew that Richard had lied. How did he know? Richard's bruise is on the right side of his face. Finn is eating a sandwich and holding it in his right hand. He's right-handed. If Finn had really hit Richard, the bruise would be on the left side of his face.
Louis returns home after sunbathing on a beach. He turns on the stove to make an omelet. Sometime later, while he's having breakfast, someone knocks on his door. Several men introduce themselves as maintenance workers. They tell Louis about a gas leak in his apartment and ask him to evacuate immediately. Louis slams the door in their faces and calls the police. He's sure these guys are thieves. Why would Louis think that? He fried his eggs on the electric stove, not a gas one. Thieves wanted to lure him out of his apartment and steal his stuff. 6 people got stuck on a desert island. They know a helicopter will arrive in a few hours, but they need to eat something now. They have a pot, a bottle of fresh water, and 5 potatoes. They cook them and are about to have dinner. But first, they need to divide 5 potatoes of different sizes and shapes among 6 people. And the food should be distributed equally. How can they do it? Easy. They should just prepare mashed potatoes. One famous film director loved it when people spoke about him, even if it was something negative. Once, he made a terrible movie. The man wanted people to hate it. Critics and viewers called his movie bad, unacceptable, ridiculous, and embarrassing every day. And the director enjoyed it. A couple of years later, in an interview, he asked a journalist, "So, what do you think about my latest movie?" The journalist replied shortly, but his answer offended the director. What did the journalist say? I don't remember it. 3 girls met in a cozy restaurant to discuss an upcoming party. Jessica ordered a lot of food. Sarah asked for cherry juice. Lucy took an apple out of her bag and started eating it. The waiter brought the juice and the ordered food and left. Sarah started sipping her drink from the glass, but Jessica didn't touch her meal at all. Someone's not human. But who? It's the waiter. Did you see that his hands were covered with scales and his pupils looked like those of a snake? A traveler is walking through a dense Amazon jungle. He's looking for a unique artifact that once belonged to an ancient tribe. If his mission is successful, he'll sell his find for millions of dollars. He comes out of the jungle into a wide clearing and sees 2 caves. They're both filled with traps, but only one of them contains the treasure. The traveler's sure he'll be able to deal with all the dangers, but only if he chooses the right cave. Which cave should he opt for? The right cave. See, the entrance is overgrown with cobwebs. This means that no one's been there for a very long time. All the other treasure hunters entered the left cave, and they never came back. Mark's friends invited him to a picnic. He arrived at the place, walked around the house, and saw a group of 8 people. None of them was his friend. It was the wrong house. Before leaving, Mark noticed that 3 people in that group were androids. Can you spot them? That guy is pouring a drink from a gasoline container. Smoke is coming out of this elderly lady's head because of a short circuit. And this girl is charging her phone through a cable connected to her neck. After a shipwreck, Jack found himself on a desert island. He built a raft and equipped it with small sails that he took from the ruined ship. Jack couldn't sail far from the shore because there was no wind. A few days later, he noticed a ship. It was approaching the island, but its wind-filled sails were facing the opposite direction. According to the laws of physics, it should be sailing away from the island. Besides, there was no wind. So how is it possible that the ship was getting closer to the shore? The ship was equipped with a motor. Richard is walking through the forest barefoot because some monkeys have stolen his shoes. He's cold and hungry. Fortunately, he spots a hut. Smoke is coming out of the chimney, and light is shining through the windows. 3 paths lead to the house. The first is covered with red-hot coals, and there are loads of rusty nails on the second one. And the third path is littered with broken glass. Yikes! Which way should Richard choose? It's cold, so Richard can wait until the coals cool down. And while he's waiting, he can warm up next to them. Toby has been wandering through the desert for several hours. The sun's burning his neck. There's nothing but hot sand around. He's run out of all the water he had. Toby gets weaker, and finally, he falls down. At this moment, he sees 2 tiny ponds. Toby only has enough strength to get to one of them. Which of these ponds is a mirage and which is real? The left pond is real. See the clouds above it? It rained there, and the rainwater formed the pond. At the edge of the forest, quite far from the village, there was an old house. Its owner found his TV broken in the morning. Someone had smashed the screen. The owner called everyone who had been in the house that night: a cook, a cleaning lady, and a lawyer. "Who broke my TV?" the man asked. "I was cooking dinner. I didn't touch anything," the cook said. "I was cleaning the basement," the cleaning lady answered. "I was upstairs. I spent the whole night studying the documents," the lawyer replied. One of them is lying. Who is it? The lawyer. He said he was upstairs, but it's a one-story house. He couldn't be studying the documents on the roof all night. Tom has lost his car keys. He's searched every corner in every room, but hasn't found them. The guy goes to the farthest room, looks at the floor, and realizes the keys are hanging on the chandelier. How does Tom know that? The floor is reflective. An elderly philosophy teacher began an exam. His students were sitting in their seats, listening to him. "Here's a task for you. Prove that everything that happens around me is real, and I'm not sleeping. Whoever writes the most convincing proof will get the highest points." The students had been writing for several hours, but almost no one got a good grade, except for one girl. She wrote an essay consisting of several words. What did she put on paper? You can't read this if you're asleep. By the way, you can use this tip while sleeping. It's almost impossible to read anything in a dream. Therefore, to find out whether you're asleep or not, look at your phone and try to read something. There was an old haunted house in town. Local people were afraid to go there, but one day, 3 girls and 2 boys decided to check that place out and record whatever was happening there. They approached the scary building, but one guy, Rob, refused to come in. He said he would wait for his friends outside. The rest of the group went into the house. Rob was nervous. After waiting for them for a few minutes, he was ready to call someone for help. But all 4 girls and 1 boy returned at this moment. Rob realized there were ghosts in the house and ran away from there. How did he know that? Three girls and 1 boy were in the house, but 5 people came out. 1 girl was a spirit. Rob saw her and ran away. Michael is walking along the sidewalk, holding his hands behind his back. A car appears from around the corner behind him. At this moment, Michael is walking near a big puddle. The driver accelerates. He's going to splash the water all over Michael. But at the last moment, he suddenly slows down and drives around the puddle. Why didn't he drench Michael? Michael was carrying a brick behind his back. The driver was afraid that Michael would throw it at his car, so he didn't drive over the puddle. Alexandra is walking around an old castle. There are lots of portraits of kings and queens on the walls. The corridor is lit by candles. Alexandra goes down to the first floor, where several people are dancing. The girl feels as if she has somehow traveled to the previous century. But wait a minute, this is all fake. How did the girl understand that? A hidden camera is installed in the corner of the hall. Also, that dancing girl has a smartwatch on her wrist. See? It's morning. Bob leaves his house and goes to the beach. The sun is peeking over the horizon. The sea is calm. There's no wind. Bob sits down on the sand, closes his eyes, and begins to meditate. Several people come up to Bob and sit down next to him to meditate too. Bob opens his eyes, sees them, and realizes that something's wrong with these people. But what? Look at Bob, and now at how these people are sitting. They aren't touching the sand. Their bodies are half an inch above the ground. Okay, now let's check and see how many correct answers you got. 0 to 3 points. Don't get upset. There's no need to try to find stuff everywhere. Sometimes you just need to trust your intuition. 4 to 7 points. More practice, more riddles, more logical tasks. And next time, you'll definitely get better results. 8 to 11 points. Oh, not bad, but sometimes you probably were inattentive. 12 to 15 points. Wow, nobody can fool you. You can always figure out the truth. You're great, but not the best of the best yet. 16 points. Whoa! You are the king of riddles. You always remain attentive to details. And also, you have awesome intuition.
So, take a look at these two girls. Can you tell which one has a boyfriend? It's the girl on the left. Look, there's someone's tie in the background. Now take a look at these girls in a cafe. Who's having a date and who came alone? The girl on the right has 2 sets of dishes, so she's with someone. Jake got in a car accident and lost his memory. He was a popular guy in school, and every girl wanted to date him. Since Jake couldn't remember anyone, some reckless girls decided to take their chance. On Monday, 3 girls, Emerson, Coco, and Geneva, visited him. Each of them said she was his girlfriend. Can you tell who his real girlfriend is? Take a closer look at Jake's shoulder. He has a tattoo saying J plus G. These must be the first letters of his and his girlfriend's names. So his real girlfriend is Geneva. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She tried to find her way back home, but instead she stumbled across a witch's house. She pet the cat and asked the witch to take her home. The witch was busy cleaning the house, and she had a riddle for Esme.
So, I have 2 types of pet insects, spiders and flies. I have 32 spiders, and flies make up 50% of my pet insect population. How many flies do I have?
Esme solved the riddle. Can you? If there are just 2 types and flies make up 50%, then spiders make the other 50%. There are 32 spiders, so there are 32 flies too. Lovely. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone stole all the money from the office. A detective arrived for interrogation. A cook said that he was working hard and didn't have time to walk or gaze around, so he didn't see anything. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't steal anything. The waiter said he remembered seeing one visitor heading to the office. Somehow he ignored it and didn't stop them. The waiter got arrested for stealing the money. Why? The restaurant was yet closed, and there couldn't be any visitors. Kennedy woke up in some dungeon. She tried to escape, but the door was locked. All of a sudden, a clock appeared and started ticking. It said that there would be an explosion in half a minute if she didn't crack the code. It was just one number, but the trick was that Kennedy only had 2 attempts. Luckily, there was a hint. Kennedy tried 60, but it didn't work. What must be her second guess? Remember the clock? When an hour hand points at 1, it means 5 minutes. When it points at 2, 10 minutes, and so on. So 12 equals 0. One rainy evening, Poppy drove to her boyfriend's neighborhood to return his hoodie. She walked in the house for a couple of minutes and forgot to lock the car. When she returned, she called the police because her laptop had been stolen from the back seat. The detective said that the girl had lied. Why? Poppy has a two-door car. There's no back seat in her automobile. Ms. Brown, Miss White, and Mr. Green are best friends who met up at a restaurant to celebrate their college graduation. Ms. White suddenly noticed one fun fact and said, "Look, we're all wearing our colors, but no one wears their color." "Yeah, Virginia White, you're right," responded the girl in a green dress. "Can you tell who is who?" So, Ms. White can only be wearing a green or a brown dress. Since a girl in a green dress responded to her, Virginia White is wearing a brown dress. This leaves us with the fact that the girl in the green dress must be Miss Brown, and the girl in the white dress must be Ms. Green. Madeline wanted to make her dad the best present for his birthday. The problem was that she had zero ideas. She decided to sneak into her dad's computer and see what he has saved in his online shopping cart. The computer required a password, and Madeline didn't know it. Can you help her figure it out? Look at the desk. There's a note, and it has quite a lot of typos. It could be done on purpose. Find every typo and put them together. O in laundry, extra L in school, I in clean, C in basement, and V in answer. So the password is OLICV. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's IDs and to not let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who wasn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. She seems fine, let her in. What do you say about this girl? Don't let her in. The month and date are flipped. She must have a fake ID. Bye, girl. Okay, next. Look, in or out? Look, the guy in the photo has a tattoo on his neck, but in reality, he doesn't have one. That's suspicious. Don't let him in. Okay, here's the next guest. He seems fine to me. And this girl? She seems alright. Green light. Okay, another one. In or out? Look, there's a typo in birth. Official documents don't have any typos, so this ID must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. Melody and Belle are sisters. Melody has cool clothes, and Belle always borrows something from her without permission. One day, Melody was going to a party and couldn't find her favorite top. She knocked on her sister's door. Belle opened the door, but saw it was her sister and shut it. In a couple of seconds, Melody broke into the room and started searching for the top. But she didn't find it anywhere and had to leave. On her way out, she remembered something and managed to find it. Where? Melody remembered that when Belle opened the door, she had her hoodie unzipped. After she shut the door, Belle zipped it. She was wearing the top. Atlas was wandering in a forest and came across a huge mansion. He walked in, and the doors behind him got locked. There were 3 ways out. Behind the first door, there was a room with poisonous gas that made your skin melt. Behind the second door, there was a hungry wolf. Behind the third door, there was a window, but there was no ladder. How can Atlas escape safely? He should pick the third door. He just walked in, so he's on the first floor. He won't need a ladder to get out of the window safely. Mr. Mason didn't really like a huge tree growing by his neighbor's house because it hid the sun. He was super happy when the tree was no more one day after a raging storm at night. Still, his neighbor called the police and reported Mr. Mason for cutting the tree on purpose. Mr. Mason denied doing it. Who is right? If it were the storm that broke the tree, the cut would be messy, but the tree is perfectly sawn off, so it's some person's work. Maybe not Mr. Mason, but definitely not the storm. Kaya likes having fun, so she decided that she would only tell the truth on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and lie on all other days. So one day she said, "Tomorrow I will tell the truth." What day did Kaya say it? If Kaya says it on one of the days she tells the truth, then she will lie because she lies the next day. So she said it on a day she lies. And the next day, she must lie too because she lied about telling the truth. The only case when she can lie 2 days in a row is Saturday and Sunday. So she must have said it on Saturday. Enola got poisoned after school. A detective interrogated the classmates, and one girl said she saw another girl, Bethany, adding something to Enola's water bottle. No one else saw it. Bethany said that she had been in a cafe after school, and her boyfriend confirmed that. The cafe's employee said that she indeed had seen Bethany and her boyfriend. She even showed a picture from the security camera. Still, Bethany was arrested for poisoning Enola. Why? Take a look at the picture of Bethany. She has a birthmark on her left cheek. But the girl on the security camera who was in the cafe with Bethany's boyfriend didn't have it. It turns out she had a twin sister who lied for her. Kara is an archaeologist who explores ancient caves. So she got trapped in one of them. She found another way, but she was on the bottom of a 45-foot cave. Kara's only option was to climb up. Every day, she could climb up 15 feet, and during the night, she would slip 5 feet down. How many days will it take her to get out? Four. In the evening of the first day, Carol will be 15 feet up, but in the morning of the second day, she'll be at 10 feet. In the morning of the third day, she'll be 20 feet up, and in the morning of the fourth day, she'll be 30 feet up. Then, by the end of the day, she'll make the remaining 15 feet and get out. Mrs. Lawrence grounded her daughter Madison for bad grades. She worked night shifts and had to leave for work. The night was warm and bright. Just like Mrs. Lawrence expected, when she returned home, she knew that Madison had sneaked out at night for a party. How did she understand it? If you paid attention, you could notice that the car was parked differently when Mrs. Lawrence was leaving the house. This means that Madison used it at night. The little sneak.
Detective Thomas went camping with his friends. At one point, he went to get some firewood. When he got back, he saw one of his friends, Alice, lying on the ground unconscious. There were 3 other people in the camp: Julie, Alice's friend, Mary, Alice's sister, and Adam, Alice's boyfriend. Thomas asked all of them to show him their belongings. Look at their stuff and try to figure out who has something to do with the state Alice is in. It's Julie. If you look attentively, you'll notice a picture of Adam among her things. She must have a crush on him. She likely hurt Alice out of jealousy. Eve went on an expedition to Antarctica with a group of scientists. 3 days into the expedition, Eve woke up and found out that all of her colleagues were missing. The only thing she found was an envelope. Inside, there was a letter. Apparently, a crazy scientist had taken her friends, and now Eve could only save them by cracking his riddles. Here's the first one. How many months have 28 days? The number you'll get is the number of feet you'll need to walk before you start digging. Eve knew the correct answer. All 12 months have 28 days. She walked 12 feet and started digging. The next clue was waiting for her there. It was a bag with a book, a can of paint, a screwdriver, and a note that said that the scientist had locked Eve's friends in his lab in a cave. It didn't take Eve long to find the cave, but there were 4 entrances leading inside. Passage 1 was guarded by venomous spiders. Passage 2 had a huge and pretty aggressive monkey blocking the entrance. In Passage 3, Eve saw a mammoth. And at the entrance to Passage 4, there was a bottomless well. Which tunnel should Eve choose? The third one. Mammoths have been extinct for thousands of years, so the animal the girl sees is likely a hologram. Eve entered the lab and saw a dog inside, but it wasn't a regular dog, it was a robot dog. Barking, it ran after Eve. The girl remembered she had a book, a can of paint, and a screwdriver in the bag she had found. What can she use to get rid of the robot? Eve should open the can with paint and throw it at the robot. Since the paint is liquid, it will likely cause the robo-dog to short-circuit. Eve breathed out in relief and started looking around. Suddenly, she saw a key on the floor. The girl picked it up and went to the next room. As soon as she walked in, the door closed behind her back, and a bizarre-sounding voice started to speak.
In 15 minutes, toxic gas will fill the room. Your only chance to survive is to take the antidote before the gas is released.
At this moment, Eve spotted a small box. She opened it and saw 4 pills and an instruction.
Take 4 pills, one every 15 minutes.
Will Eve have time to take all the pills before the gas fills the room? Yes, absolutely. The first 15 minutes will start after she takes the first pill, so taking 4 pills will take her 45 minutes. Eve got out of the room and finally found her friends, all tied up. She immediately set them free, but they needed to get out of there as soon as possible. They saw 3 doors leading outside. Behind the first door, there were hungry polar bears. Behind the second door, the air was so cold it was impossible to survive there. And behind the third door, there was a waist-deep lake with piranhas. Which way should the friends choose? The third one. The lab is in an ice cave, remember? The water in the lake will be frozen. They will simply walk on the ice and get out of the cave. Freedom! Betty is a famous artist and blogger with more than 1 million subscribers. She has recently hired an agent to sell her works. The agent created an online shop with Betty's exclusive paintings. One day, Betty woke up and saw that most of her followers recently unsubscribed. Can you guess what happened? Take a look at the items in Betty's shop. Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, not Betty. The agent tried to sell fake art through her shop. The next day, Betty visited her favorite cafe. She made an order and went to the ladies' room to wash her hands. She found this beautiful ancient necklace. 3 people approached her to claim the jewelry. Helen said, "This piece belonged to my grandmother. Emeralds fit our green eyes perfectly. Give it back." Fiona said, "My necklace used to have a weak lock. It must have been broken when I was combing my hair." Julia said, "Hey, it's mine. I lost this necklace in the ladies' room." Who should Betty give the necklace to? Helen mentioned emeralds, but the stones are red, not green. Julia was so sure that she'd lost the necklace in the toilet, so why wouldn't she go pick it up herself? Fiona was the only one who knew about the weak chain lock. so she's the real owner. Betty returned to her table. She noticed that someone had taken a bite out of her bagel. Betty was shocked and questioned other customers. Derek said, "Lady, I'm a billionaire. I don't need to steal other people's food." Zach said, "I'm allergic to gluten. I don't eat any pastries." Sheila said, "I saw a weird hungry guy running around the cafe and asking for money. He must have bitten your bagel." Who's lying? Zach. If he doesn't eat any pastries, why did he order pancakes? Fiona wanted to thank Betty for the necklace, so she bought her lunch. The women sat down together and began to talk. Betty asked Fiona about her job. Instead of answering, Fiona showed her family tree. Can you help Betty figure this out? Fiona is a witch, her brother is a policeman, their dad is a doctor, and their mother is a football player. Betty got very excited. She begged Fiona to teach her magic crafts. But Fiona hesitated. She wanted to test her potential student and offered Betty to solve this equation first. Can you help her nail this task? Many people fail to solve this equation because they don't pay attention to details. In this puzzle, every emoji, including the witch, wand, and the broom, symbolize different values. Before calculating the equation, let's find out the value of single things. First, calculate the value of one witch. It's 15. Now let's figure out the value of one wand. As you can see, it equals 7. And now, let's do the same thing to the brooms. This task is tricky because there are 4 brooms in this equation. So, if 4 brooms are worth 12, then 1 broom will cost 3. Now let's take a look at the final line. The witch doesn't carry around any broom or wand. Therefore, the value of an empty-handed witch is 5. And now, we're ready to solve the equation. And the correct answer is 73. Great job! Betty gave the right answer, and Fiona took her home. There's a beautiful garden maze on Fiona's land. She teleported Betty to the center of the maze and gave her this map. Betty must find a black cat. Otherwise, she's gonna stay in this trap forever. Can you help Betty out? Here's the way. Betty wanted to run back to the castle as soon as possible. Suddenly, a creepy zombie started chasing her. It looked hungry. Betty was running away and noticed 3 paths. The first path was covered by poisonous acid, the second path by bugs and maggots, and the third path by thorn bushes. Which way should Betty choose? Betty should choose the second path. Bugs and maggots are gross, but they're harmless. Fiona asked Betty to serve dinner for a witch party in her castle. Can you count how many witches have arrived at this event? There are 13 witches in this picture. This one is not a witch, it's a garden scarecrow. Betty needed to go to the store to buy some ingredients for dinner. She began to write them down. Milk, lemon juice, eggs, butter, oranges, baking soda, cashews, and vinegar. What was Betty making? Have you guessed? Betty was making a shopping list. Who is wanted? The girl on the right. She has the same mole as the girl on the poster. Who is an identity thief? It's the man on the right. His real ID is sticking out of his backpack, which means he must be showing a fake ID. Who is an imposter? The girl on the left. The script she's reading is turned upside down. It means she only pretends to be an actress. Who is the real thief? Both of these men are thieves. While one man is distracting the girl, the other is preparing to steal her phone. The last will of Mr. Wilson, a rich businessman, got stolen. There were 5 people in the house at that moment: Mr. Wilson's wife, their cook, butler, maid, and gardener. They all told the detective what they'd been doing that evening. Mrs. Wilson was sitting by the fireplace embroidering. The cook was making breakfast. The butler was supervising several workers in the living room. The maid was sweeping the floors in the hallway. The gardener was watering the plants in the greenhouse. Right after this conversation, the detective arrested the thief. Who is the culprit? And how'd the detective figure it out? The cook is the thief. He said he'd been preparing breakfast, but the crime happened in the evening. Lily owned a flower store. One day, she got a call from the police. They told her that her shop had been robbed. When she arrived, shards of glass were on the ground near the store, and the pots and plants inside were broken. The police questioned 3 suspects. Jacob, Lily's ex, said, "I was in a hurry and didn't notice that the windows were broken when I was passing by the store. I only realized what had happened when the police called me." Camille, Lily's friend, said, "Lily asked me to help her with something in the store. When I arrived, everything had already been broken. I called the police immediately." Matt, Lily's ex-coworker, said, "I was walking nearby and I saw someone breaking a window and sneaking into the shop. I left my phone at home, so I ran to the police station." Can you guess who's lying? Matt is lying. Shards of glass were laying on the ground, which meant that the criminal had to break the window from the inside. Let's take a little break. Now, you need to think fast. Mary's mom has 4 daughters. One daughter is called April, the second is named May, and the third daughter is June. What's the 4th daughter's name? It's Mary, of course. Who doesn't belong to this list? Napoleon Bonaparte, Queen Elizabeth, William Shakespeare, Sherlock Holmes, Aristotle, Christopher Columbus, Donald Trump. Sherlock Holmes. He's the only fictional character on the list. 8 girls are in the house, and each of them is busy with something. The first one is cooking dinner. The second one is lighting the fireplace. The third girl is playing chess. The fourth one is reading a book. The fifth girl is drawing a picture. The sixth is cleaning up the house. The seventh girl is watering the plants. What is the eighth girl doing? She's playing chess with the third girl. One woman turned 40 in 1850, but in 1860 she was 30 years old. How could this happen? This could only happen if 1860 was earlier than 1850, which means that the woman turned 40 in 1850 BCE and 30 in 1860 BCE. An artist was walking in the park when it suddenly started raining. He had neither a hat nor an umbrella to cover his head. He also couldn't hide under a tree because the downpour was too heavy, and still, not a single hair on his head got wet. How can that happen? The artist was bald. Now let's get back to our detective riddles. Robert won $1 million in the lottery. He decided not to tell anyone about this, including his wife. At home, he put his money in a safe hidden behind a painting. The next day, the money disappeared. The police invited all the suspects for questioning. Emily, Robert's wife, said, "In the morning, I went to my husband's home to clean up there. The safe was open and there was nothing inside." James, Robert's business partner, said, "Poor Robert, he always wanted to win a lottery. I stayed at home all day and yesterday and watched TV." And Mark, Robert's friend, said, "I was at the gym last night, then I went home. I can't imagine why anyone would do this." The police arrested the thief. Can you guess who it was? Robert's business partner did this. Robert didn't tell anyone that he'd won the lottery. His wife noticed an empty safe when she entered the office, but she didn't know what was inside. Marina was participating in a figure skating championship. She was a very strong competitor, and many people believed she could win. When the time for a warm-up ran out, all the participants started preparing for the performance. Marina was the first. She was amazing, but suddenly she tripped, fell down, and broke her leg, which made her unable to continue. The investigation revealed that someone had ruined her skates. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Anna said, "I didn't do anything, but I saw Jacqueline and Kate walking into the locker room before Marina's performance. They're the ones who ruined her skates." Jacqueline said, "Yes, I indeed went into the locker room to take my things, but I didn't see Kate there." And Kate said, "Yeah, that's because I've been practicing in the gym until it was my turn. Besides, Anna is lying. I saw her in the locker room." Can you guess who's lying? Kate. She couldn't train in the gym because the time for the warm-up had been over by the time the competition started. Here's what happened. Kate went into the locker room and ruined Marina's skates. Jacqueline came into the locker room after her, and that's what Anna saw. Jane is afraid that she might have a stalker. She brought some photos of herself and her friends to the police. The police immediately found the culprit. Who is Jane's stalker? Jane's friend Mike. He's the only one who is present in all the photos, and sometimes he even tries to conceal his identity. The investigation didn't have enough evidence to prove the suspect was guilty. Detective Reed decided to investigate their house, hoping to find some clues, and he actually did find something. He discovered a secret room. However, it had a combination lock and the word "idea" written above it. Do you have any idea what the code might be? "9451. The code is the number of each of the letters in the alphabet. The door opened to the suspect's secret office. At first glance, there is nothing suspicious inside. A table with a book in the middle, some dusty furniture, and a picture on the wall. The detective examined the painting and found a safe with a 3-digit code behind it. Next to it, there was a note with a hint. P270L7-8. Can you guess what the detective needs to do next? The detective realized that the note meant page 270, lines 7 to 8. He should check out the book on the table. The detective found the necessary lines on page 270. They read, "After wandering through the desert for 4 days and 3 nights, I came across a couple of travelers. They fed me and gave me one of their camels." This is a clue that can help crack the code to the safe. What is it? "721. 4 days and 3 nights make 7. A couple of travelers is 2. And don't forget about 1 camel." The detective opened the safe and found the evidence that proved that the suspect was guilty. In the middle of the night, someone stole a unique artifact from a museum. The museum guard claimed it had been a robber. Detective Ridd arrived at the crime scene immediately and questioned the guard. The man said, I was walking around the museum. Suddenly I saw a dark shadow. I called out to them, but they didn't respond. But Detective Ridd noticed that something was wrong with this story. Can you guess what it is? There are only one person's footprints on the floor. If there was the guard and the criminal in the museum, shouldn't there be two sets of footprints? Detective Ridd asked the guard what he did next. The man said, I ran after the thief and saw them break the glass door and steal the artifact. The alarm didn't go off, as they had probably turned it off. Is the guard telling the truth? The door is indeed broken, but it's also open. It can only be opened with a key. It looks like someone opened the door to prevent the alarm from going off, and then broke the glass to hide the traces. The detective asked the man what had happened next. The guard said, I ran up to the criminal and tried to stop them, but they sprayed something in my eyes, and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I immediately called the police. Is he telling the truth? His eyes look totally fine. The robbery happened just a few hours ago. If the guard was telling the truth, his eyes would at least look red. He must be lying. The guard turned out to be the thief and was arrested. Detective Tina received an emergency call from the local museum. Someone had stolen an exclusive scarab brooch from ancient Egypt. First of all, Tina checked all security cameras. This is what she found. Can you spot the thief just by looking at these two pictures? See this guy? He's holding an open paper cup in the first image, but in the second image, the cup has a lid. The guy hid the stolen brooch in his paper cup. Detective Tina hurried to the crime scene. When the brooch disappeared, the museum security system locked all visitors inside the building. But the guards didn't find the suspected person among the visitors. How did he escape? Have you guessed? Take a look up at the ceiling. See the shoe prints on the statue? The thief climbed this sculpture and escaped through the window on the roof. Tina went to the roof to search for some clues. Can you see any? The thief left the cup on the roof. There's a coffee shop name written on it. Bright Cup. Tina can visit this place and check the security cameras. Tina arrived at the coffee shop, located just nearby the museum. Unfortunately, they didn't have security cameras, so Tina questioned the staff. Kelly, the barista, said, "Sorry, I don't know this guy. I'm just trying to do my job." Mike, the manager, said, "This face looks familiar, but I'm not sure where I saw him." And Phil, the guard, said, "Sorry, never saw him. You can trust me. I have a perfect memory for faces." Tina knew for sure that one of them had lied. Can you spot who exactly? Kelly, look at her iPad. There's an incoming call from her boyfriend. Take a closer look at the contact photo. It's our thief. Therefore, Kelly is an accomplice in the crime. Tina told Kelly, "I'm afraid we should continue this conversation at the police station." But Kelly ran away through the backyard. Tina followed her and ended up in a dark basement. She got lost and found these 3 cages. The first cage is covered with fire. There are huge ice cubes all over the second cage, and the third cage is full of venomous scorpions. Tina has to choose one of them to get to the surface. Can you help her choose the safest option? The cage with the ice cubes. She can get cold, but it's still safer than the other 2 cages. The police caught Kelly and brought her to the station. During interrogation, Kelly told Tina 4 facts.
First of all, this guy's name is Alex. Secondly, he's my ex-boyfriend. We don't get along anymore. We went to the same college and met in history class. And finally, I don't know why he'd stolen this stupid brooch.
One of the facts is false. Can you guess which one? The 4th one. Look at Kelly's tattoo. It's identical to the stolen brooch. She definitely knows something about the stolen item. Kelly confessed that the thief might be hiding in an abandoned castle site outside the city. Tina went to check it out. But anyone who wants to reach the castle should go through this tangled maze. Can you tell which one of these 4 paths will bring Tina to the castle? The first path leads to the pond with crocodiles. The 3rd one leads nowhere. And the 4th way goes back to the beginning. So Tina should choose the 2nd path. Tina entered the castle and saw a room full of ancient artifacts. She spotted the thief right away. What about you? Can you see him? This mummy is holding a cell phone. Alex ran away to the basement and Tina followed him. Unfortunately, the door behind her slammed shut and she got stuck. Can you help her break the code to escape? A calendar on the door says, "You force heaven to be empty." If you read the sentence again, you're going to hear a 7-digit code. U, 4, 7, 2, B, M, T. In the next room, Tina got stuck in another trap. The creepy voice explained, "If you press the right button, I'm going to let you go. But if you choose the wrong one, you'll stay here forever. You've only got one chance to escape. Good luck." Which button opens the lock? Have you guessed? She should pick the black button. This picture on the wall is a hint. The rainbow contains all colors except for black. Tina got out of the trap and entered a room full of old furniture. She noticed 3 odd details about this room right away. What about you? There are books in this burning fireplace, but they don't burn. Take a look at this painting on the wall. This lady's winking. And the reflection in this mirror doesn't match the room at all. Tina found Alex near these underground gates leading to an ancient underground city. He explained that the scarab brooch hid a secret key, but there are 4 different locks on the gates. The guys only have one attempt to choose the right one. Which lock should they pick? The 4th lock is the only perfect match for this key. The guys opened the gates and entered the city. Alex had a map, so he ran away to find the treasures and left Tina alone. She looked around and noticed a 3-way road pointing to the north, west, and east. Tina didn't know where to go. Suddenly, she saw a lady. The local citizens always reply truthfully, but they answer only one question if they're talking to a stranger. What should Tina ask to figure out the right direction? She should ask, if the right direction is not the east, is it west? Here's why. There are 3 possible answers. 1. Yes, west is correct. 2. No, east is the right direction. 3. Neither one nor the other. Tina should go north. Or, Tina might just ask the name of this lady and then introduce herself. This way, they won't be strangers anymore, and Tina would be able to ask as many questions as she needed. Tina went north and finally found the entrance to a cave with treasures, but the door has a combination lock. Can you help Tina figure out the code? Take a look at these figures. The number corresponds to the sum of intersection points. Therefore, she needs to calculate the number of points in the last figure. And voila, the 4-digit code is solved. Inside the caves, Tina met a dragon. It said,
I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm quite hot, but if you remove the first 2 letters, I become too cold. What am I?
Have you guessed? The correct answer is spice. When we take away the first 2 letters, it turns into ice. To find the treasures, Tina has to walk through this round maze. She only has 10 seconds to choose the correct way. Can you help her out? Here's the easiest way. Tina found 3 doors in the center of the labyrinth. Each door leads to treasures. But each way also hides some danger. The first path is filled with poisonous gas. There are thousands of toads and bugs behind the second door. They crawl all over the floor and walls. And a hungry lion is hiding behind the third door. Which way should Tina choose? The second way. Although bugs and toads can be gross, they're not dangerous. Tina took the treasures and headed home. Suddenly, she met Alex. Tina decided to trick him and offered him a deal. If you manage to solve my puzzle, I'm gonna give you 100% of the treasures. But if you fail, you'll get nothing and go to jail. Here's the riddle. Move just 1 match to point this giraffe in a different direction. Alex failed to crack this riddle. What about you? Here's the correct answer. Pretty easy, huh?
Rachel had been dreaming of becoming a famous actress. Finally, her dream was about to come true. A famed talent agency had invited Rachel for an interview. She arrived at the office to meet her new agent early in the morning. There were 4 people in the conference room. Can you tell which one is Rachel's agent? This guy is the only person who doesn't have an employee badge, so he's probably a guest. This man is wearing a classy, expensive suit, but he brought coffee for everyone, so he's an assistant. This lady's mug says "World's Best Lawyer," so she's probably responsible for legal issues. And this relaxed lady over there is Rachel's agent, Zoe. Zoe offered Rachel to take a seat. Which place should Rachel choose? This chair is missing 1 leg. Someone has spilled coffee on this chair. The barista has written "The Boss" on the drink in this cup and left it on the table next to this chair. And someone has left a sweater on this chair. So, Rachel has only 1 option, and here it is. First of all, Zoe decided to check how smart Rachel was and offered her this puzzle. She used 3 pencils to make this triangle. Rachel's task was to create a perfect square by moving just 1 pencil. Can you help her? Here's the answer. After the meeting, Zoe unboxed a delivery from a popular writer. He sent Zoe his new masterpiece in secret. Zoe didn't say anything about this to her colleagues, but one of them was actually trying to steal the script. Can you guess who this person is? It's the assistant. He's using his front camera to take pictures of the mirrored ceiling while Zoe is looking through the script. Zoe brought Rachel to her first audition. Rachel joined other actresses in a line. They were all competing for the lead role in a new series. The main character had poor eyesight, so all actresses put on fake glasses to get into character. Rachel didn't do well enough, and another actress, Sally, got the job. Rachel was very upset. But suddenly, Sally fell to the floor. She was unconscious, and Rachel called an ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Sally. But all the actresses ate the same snacks and drank the same water. Doctors checked the food, and it was fine. Can you guess what happened there? This actress gave Sally a wet wipe to clean her glasses. The wipe was poisoned. The next day, Rachel arrived at a theater to meet Stan. He was a famous director. She noticed 5 weird things about this place right away. What about you? Can you see them too? Something's wrong with the gravity, in particular with this chandelier that isn't hanging from the ceiling as it should. The wind that the fan creates is blowing to the right, but this actress's hair is flowing to the left. There are human footsteps on the ceiling. The spotlights are red, but the lighting on the stage is blue. And this ballerina's shadow is falling in the wrong direction. Stan introduced Rachel to his favorite actors, Josh, Steven, and Tyler. They were triplets that always joked around, but this time they agreed that one of them would tell the truth and the other 2 would lie. They told Rachel about their game. She had to guess their names. The first guy said that he was Josh. The second introduced himself as Steven, and the third guy said, "The second person always tells the truth." Can you figure out who is who? If the third guy is telling the truth, then so is the second. But only one brother was supposed to be honest. So the third guy must be lying. This means the second brother is lying too. So then, the first guy must be telling the truth. He is Josh. The second guy is neither Josh nor Steven. He's Tyler. And the third brother is Steven. Stan offered Rachel to play a princess in his new production. Rachel went to the dressing room to apply makeup. Suddenly, she heard a scream. Rachel ran out of the room and saw the main star of the play on the stage covered in paint. Rachel questioned the suspects. Ron, an assistant, claimed that he'd been eating his sandwich on the balcony when it happened. Lily, a stylist, was on the phone with her husband. And Stacy, a cleaner, said she'd been cleaning the bathroom at that moment. Who's guilty? Ron. He's holding a sandwich, and it's still unwrapped. Now that Rachel got a job, she needed a place to stay in Hollywood. She started looking for an apartment and went to 3 agencies. Each agency showed her one apartment. Rachel liked them all, but when she examined the apartments, she realized that there were scammers among the realtors. Rachel looked at the documents attentively. Which apartment should she choose? Rachel chose the third option. The first apartment is on the 6th floor. But that's impossible because the building only has 5 floors. And according to the description of the second apartment, its construction will be finished in 2025. This is 2022, by the way. But Rachel needs an apartment immediately. Rachel rented the third apartment and moved in right away. But something was wrong with the bathroom there. Can you see it? How is she supposed to flush? Can you see anything weird here? There's no shower drain. Rachel heard the doorbell ring. Her neighbors, Peter and Victor, brought her 2 cakes. but only one of them was edible. Can you tell which one? Victor's cake is sprinkled with almond flakes, while Peter's cake is decorated with human nails. The next day, Zoe texted Rachel to check how she was doing. Rachel sent her this selfie and said, "Alone at home, learning my lines." Zoe sent Rachel this reply, "What a liar you are." Why? If Rachel's alone, who's that guy? Zoe took Rachel to a party and introduced her to Nick, an eccentric billionaire who was financing one of Zoe's movie projects. They had a brief conversation, and then Rachel lost him in the crowd. In a while, Rachel noticed 3 guys facing away from her. Each of them looked exactly like Nick. Can you tell who the real Nick is? This guy has a tattoo on his hand, while Nick didn't have it. And this guy's suit is fake. They wrote the brand name with a mistake. Nick offered for Rachel to sing karaoke. The girls sang a song, and Nick liked it so much that he offered her a suitcase full of gold. But he wouldn't reward just anyone. Only smart people deserved his money. To get the gold, Rachel had to crack a riddle. Nick showed her 4 rare coins. He said there was something wrong with 3 of them. Can you figure out which coin is real? People who lived at that time didn't call their era BCE. This coin is from the future. Take a look at the date. There weren't cars in 1365. So here's the only real coin. Rachel used an app to call a taxi to take her precious suitcase home. She saw 3 identical cars in the parking lot. Each of the 3 drivers claimed that Rachel had ordered their car. Which driver should Rachel choose? The third one. Take a look at the first taxi. There's a creepy guy hiding in the back seat, and the second car is missing a wheel. Zoe was having a party at her villa. She noticed that her son, Harry, was eating in his room with some lady. But Zoe didn't know who she was. The woman got very curious. So, after they left, she sneaked into her son's room to find some hints. There were 3 girls at her party: Lily, Jennifer, and Diana. Zoe immediately guessed who was with her son. What about you? Harry is dating Jennifer. Look at the dishes on the table. There's a lipstick stain on the fork. Jennifer is the only girl wearing red lipstick. In the morning, Rachel went for a run in the park. On her way there, she met this woman. And a minute later, she saw another woman, absolutely the same. Rachel thought it was extremely bizarre. But, in reality, there were 5 differences between these 2 ladies. Can you see them? Here they are. Rachel continued her run and saw these 2 guys on a boat in the river. And a couple of minutes later, she noticed these fishermen. Can you spot any differences? There are 5 differences between these 2 pictures. Have you found them all? Rachel stopped because she needed to tie her shoelaces. Suddenly, she saw these 2 women with backpacks. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Right, here they are. Rachel arrived at her apartment building and found her neighbor, Peter, unconscious at the bottom of the stairs. The scene in front of her eyes was so awful that Rachel fainted, and the concierge carried her home. In the evening, after her nap, Rachel left her apartment. And guess what? In the lobby, she came across Peter again. But this time, he was energetic and happy. He was also drinking some juice. How did he survive? Look, he's a vampire! In the morning, Zoe called Rachel and asked her to come to the agency immediately. When Rachel saw the office, she was shocked. It was a mess. Someone had stained the walls with paint, and broken furniture and torn documents were everywhere. Zoe questioned 3 suspects. Dan, an assistant, said that he'd been partying all night. Many people could confirm that. Jessica, a lawyer, said, "Who do you think I am? I love my job. Otherwise, I would have already quit." And Sarah, a copywriter, said that she'd been the last one to leave the office. And she had locked the door, that's for sure. Who's lying? Jessica. All the mugs are broken, except for hers. World's best lawyer. The woman wanted to get rid of some documents, so she faked a robbery.
Well, Andy is a singer in a famous band called Lovely Love. Lovely name, isn't it? He has just received fantastic news from his producer. They're going to have an epic tour around the country. So Andy called all his friends and threw a party to celebrate. Can you tell how many people are in the band? And can you also find all the band members among the guests? Although the room is full of musicians, Lovely Love consists of only 3 people. Take a look at this poster on the wall. There's a photo of Andy, Jessica, who's standing over there, and Bill, he's sitting on the couch. In the middle of the party, Andy's fan came over and asked for an autograph. She also asked Andy a question. What was your dream job when you were younger? Instead of giving her the autograph, Andy drew this rebus and said, "If you want to learn this secret, you have to crack my rebus." Ooh, sounds like it could hurt. Can you help the girl? When he was younger, Andy had a dream of becoming a scientist. Jessica saw this rebus and drew her own. Can you guess her dream job? That's right, she wanted to become a firefighter. And Bill coded his dream job in this rebus. Can you crack it? It's a mechanic. Next day, the band members gathered at a rehearsal studio. Can you tell who plays which instrument? Bill has a tattoo with a guitar on his shoulder, but this doesn't prove that he plays this instrument. In fact, he plays the piano. Take a look at this synthesizer. It has Bill's name written on it. Andy plays the guitar. There's a guitar case behind his back. And Jessica plays drums. She has drumsticks in her hair. Some fans sent Jessica flowers. She put them on a table and went to the bathroom to fill a vase with water. One of the guys decided to prank her. He sprinkled dry food coloring on the flowers. When Jessica returned, she put the bouquet in the vase and sniffed the flowers.
Oh, no.
Her face immediately turned purple. Can you tell who's responsible for this prank? Bill or Andy? Andy. There's some purple paint on his sleeve. The guys got hungry and asked their producer, James, to go get some snacks. In the kitchen, James found the ingredients for something really special: chocolate-covered bananas. While cooking, James noticed a jar with pickles and decided to prank the guys. He shoved small sticks into pickles, gave them a nice chocolate bath, and covered them in sprinkles. Then James served the dessert on a tray. Bill was about to take a bite, but Jessica shouted, "Wait, this is a prank." How did she guess? All the bananas are curved, while the pickles are suspiciously straight. Finally, the guys put all their stuff inside a trailer and hit the road. Soon, they arrived at the first spot, a big music festival. But the guard at the entrance didn't want to let them in. He asked the musicians to solve his riddle. I am so delicate that just saying my name will cause me to break. What am I? Can you guess? It's silence. Then 5 volunteers came up to the guys. There were 4 stages at this festival. Each volunteer was responsible for one of the stages. This means one of the volunteers was fake. Ooh. This lady over there, she's a ghost. She's levitating and doesn't cast a shadow. Ooh. The volunteers offered the guys 2 trays with delicious snacks. Can you spot any differences between these trays? Here they are. There was only 1 minute left before the performance. The guys took their instruments and got ready to go to the stage, but suddenly they realized that the door was locked. They were stuck inside the dressing room. Andy found this note next to the door. He didn't waste a second and cracked the code. They made it to the stage on time. What was the code? The wall stands for 3411, and Samson is 543502. Jessica left her stuff in the dressing room. When she returned, she saw that someone had stolen her backpack. The manager called the police and locked the doors. A police officer arrived and detained 3 suspects. The manicurist said that she had been focused on her work. The cleaner said he had been mopping the hallway and hadn't noticed anyone suspicious. And the hairdresser was too busy taking pictures for her Instagram account. Have you guessed who the thief is? The manicurist. Look at the color of her nail polish. The festival manager arranged an after party and invited the guys to join. The dance floor was full of famous musicians. Andy noticed his idol, Stan, and came up to ask for an autograph. Suddenly, Stan fainted in the middle of the room. Someone had poisoned him. The police questioned 3 suspects. Bill said, I was talking to Kitty. She's a journalist. Kitty said, Stan and I have been best friends for ages, and I would never hurt him. And Melanie said, I was eating my dinner when Stan got sick. I didn't see anything suspicious. Can you guess who's lying? Kitty. Take a look at her bag. She has ruined Stan's portrait on the cover of this magazine. If he were really her friend, why would she do that? In the morning, the musicians went to the next city. On the road, they saw a guy with a cart. A minute later, they noticed another one. Bill said, wow, these guys are identical. But Andy noticed 2 differences. Jessica, in turn, found 3 differences. Who was right? Jessica. These are the differences between the men. Sometime later, the guys saw a couple of hitchhikers on the side of the road, and in 5 minutes, they saw a similar couple. Andy noticed 1 difference. Bill said there were 2 differences, and Jessica noticed 3 differences. Who was right? Bill. This guy's backpack is different, and the lady's sneakers differ slightly as well. Finally, the band arrived at their next destination. They noticed a beautiful house on the right side of the road. Suddenly, Jessica pointed at the left side of the road. Look, this house is absolutely the same. But Bill noticed 3 differences. Andy was sure that the houses had 2 differences. Who is right? Andy. Andy was looking around the town's concert hall when someone locked the door. Andy had 3 ways out, but all of them were dangerous. The first passage was so hot it was impossible to get through. The second passage was freezing, literally. The third passage was guarded by a robot vacuum that was reprogrammed to hunt down humans. What passage should Andy choose? The third passage. The robot might start hunting him, but it's just a cleaner robot. What harm can it cause? Jessica wanted to get into the rehearsal studio, but the door was locked. A note on the wall gave Jessica a hint. Jessica was very smart, so she cracked the puzzle very quickly and unlocked the door. What was the code? Multiply the first and the last number, then multiply the second and third. The code is 2516. After giving an epic concert, the guys finally went backstage to eat. The catering service had prepared 2 identical tables full of delicious dishes. Can you spot 4 differences between these 2 tables? Here they are. The guys rented a cozy apartment for one night. Bill was nagging all the way there, which annoyed Andy and Jessica. So they decided to teach Bill a lesson. They dropped the key to his bedroom into a bucket of water. His task was to get the key out without touching the water or using any tools. And still, that night, Bill slept in his bedroom. How did he get the key? He placed the bucket over a fire. Soon the water boiled away and Bill took the key out, hopefully letting it cool first. Ow! In the morning, the guys hit the road again and reached the next city very quickly. The concert manager took them to a rehearsal studio. They saw a crowd of fans near the entrance. Everyone wanted to get an autograph. There were not only humans. Can you spot zombies among these fans? That's right, there are 3 zombies in the crowd. This guy and this lady over there are pretty obvious. But this guy hiding on the tree is also a zombie. Look at his feet. During the performance, it suddenly got very dark. Someone turned off the lights in the entire building. The police questioned the suspects. The cleaning lady said she had been sitting in her office quietly, talking on the phone with her family. The electrician said, "I was in the bathroom on the 3rd floor when it happened." The concert manager said, "This is a huge money loss for me. Why would I do it?" Who is lying? The electrician. Look at the wall. He's indeed on the 3rd floor, but there's a sign on the toilet door. It's closed for renovation for 2 weeks. Andy got lost backstage. He found 4 doors that led out of the concert hall. But all 4 passages looked suspicious. A hungry monster was hiding behind the first door. A fire was burning behind the second door. The 3rd passage was full of poisonous gas. And there was a room without any windows behind the 4th door. Can Andy get out of the concert hall? He can go through the 4th door. There are no windows there, but no one said it didn't have a door. After the last concert, Andy finally got the courage to invite Jessica on a date. She came to his place and they watched a movie. Then they had a long conversation. Jessica told Andy a lot about her past and about her future plans. Andy went to the kitchen to prepare some snacks. When he returned to the living room, he saw 2 identical women. Both of them claimed to be the real Jessica. How did Andy understand who his girlfriend is? He should ask each of them what they've been chatting about earlier. Freddie is one lucky guy. He works at a chocolate factory as a night guard. Once, he was checking the factory as usual. He noticed that someone had stolen several boxes with exclusive chocolate candies. The next morning, Freddy questioned 3 suspects. Jason, a pastry cook, said that he'd finished his shift at 7 p.m. and gone home right away. His wife couldn't confirm that he stayed indoors all night. Harry, a delivery guy, said, "I don't eat chocolate at all. Even the smell of it gives me a severe rash." And Peter, a cleaner, said, "Yesterday I was cleaning the warehouse. I found 1 chocolate candy on the floor and ate it. I'm so sorry. Please don't fire me." Who is the thief? Harry. He's standing in a room with a bowl of melted chocolate without any protection. He would have a rash if his allergy was real. Another working day at the chocolate factory. Jason decided to prank Freddy and covered a raw chicken egg with a layer of chocolate. Then he wrapped it and put it among real chocolate eggs on a tray. When Jason brought the chocolate eggs, Freddy spotted the fake one immediately. Can you figure it out? The real chocolate eggs are hollow inside, so they were rolling all over the tray when Jason was walking. But the raw egg is heavier, and it didn't move much. Well, Freddy decided to pay Jason back. He dressed up as a ghost to scare him. But suddenly, several real ghosts appeared in the room. Can you figure out which of these ghosts is Freddy? This guy over here. He's the only ghost who is not transparent at all. One evening, the factory was celebrating its anniversary. The management organized a party. All employees participated in a karaoke competition. Most of them all sang incredibly well and received gifts and flowers. But only 2 of the best singers, Nancy and Betsy, made it to the final. They prepared to face each other in one more round. But suddenly, Betsy fell to the floor, unconscious. Doctors claimed that she had been poisoned. But all the participants of the competition had eaten exactly the same food. Besides, the police checked the dishes and they were okay. Can you guess what happened? Someone poisoned Betsy's flowers. Next day, Freddy came to work as usual. He looked around and exclaimed, wait a minute, who's brought a cat to the chocolate factory? No pets are allowed here. Can you see any animals? Here it is. The cat got scared and ran away to another room. Freddy followed it. Can you spot the cat now? It's hiding over there. And again, Freddy failed to catch the cat. It ran out of the building and hid in the garden. Can you help the guy find the cat? The poor animal is over there. Freddy caught the cat and found a small note attached to its collar. It had contact information. Freddy called the cat owner, but no one answered the phone. So, after work, Freddy took the cat and went to the address mentioned in the note. It was a creepy castle. The door was locked and required a password. Can you help Freddy crack the code using this hint? The password is rainbow. A gloomy old man greeted Freddy inside the castle. Freddy expected that he would thank him for bringing the cat back. But the old man began to laugh evilly and locked all the ways out. Then he said, "If you manage to complete 3 tasks I give you, you will get $1 million. But if you fail, you'll stay in my castle forever. Here's the first task. Help me find my glasses among all these vegetables." Can you help Freddy? here they are. The next task from the old man was to cook a potion and do it in the correct order. He gave Freddy this recipe. Can you help the guy? First of all, you gotta put curry. Then go for blueberries to make the potion look greenish. And finally, add tomatoes to make the potion look brown. As for these vegetables, Freddy doesn't need them. And the third task is to find a book in this messy room. Can you see it? It's half hidden inside the sofa. The old man gave Freddy his money, showed him the exit, and disappeared. But when Freddy tried to leave, he realized that the door was locked. It had a combination lock. Freddy found this mysterious note nearby. He has to get this right or he might stay trapped for a long time. What code will open the door? "2361. Each number corresponds to the number of circles in the first set of numbers. Now, Freddy was free to go. As soon as Freddy got out of the creepy castle, he decided to quit his job and go on a trip around the globe. First of all, he took a flight to Spain. On board the plane, he met Gloria. He asked what country she was from. Instead of answering, Gloria showed him this puzzle. Can you guess the country? That's right, she's from Ireland. Then Gloria asked Freddy what country he was from, and he showed her this puzzle. Can you guess his country? Cuba. Freddy landed in Madrid and went for a walk. He hadn't rented any hotel in advance, so he just wandered around the city, searching for a nice place to stay. Suddenly, Freddy noticed this cute little hotel and entered it. Big mistake. Why? See this zombie in the window? This place doesn't look safe. As soon as Freddy entered the creepy hotel, the door slammed behind his back. The guy saw 3 doors leading to freedom. Venomous spiders were crawling behind the first door. Behind the second door, arrows were flying at head height. And behind the third door, there was a black hole. Which door should Freddy choose? Can you help him escape? He should choose the second door. He can crawl under the arrows. After his adventure, Freddy decided to have lunch in the local cafe. But something's definitely wrong here. Can you figure out what it is? Look at this window. The view of the street is upside down. The waiter came over to Freddy to get his order. But suddenly, a woman at the next table began to shout, "Help me! Someone has put cockroaches in my soup!" The cafe manager questioned 3 suspects. The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed the dish to the waiter. The waiter said he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to the woman and switched to another client, Freddy. The woman's husband said, "I wasn't there when my wife got the soup. I was washing my hands in the bathroom." Can you tell who's guilty? No one. Take a look at the ceiling. The cockroaches crawled out of the ventilation and several of them fell into the lady's soup. Freddy used a special app to rent a luxury apartment in Madrid. He found 3 options that he really liked. Mariana offered a cozy 2-story studio with a beautiful view. Diego had a penthouse near a park. And Camilla offered a high-tech villa. Which option should Freddy choose? This penthouse has a cracked glass roof, which is extremely unsafe. As for the third option, see the Eiffel Tower? Camilla's high-tech villa is in Paris, not in Madrid. So, Freddy should choose the first studio. Freddy invited Mariana for a walk in the park. They walked a lot and got very tired. They decided to lie down on the grass and rest. Freddy woke up an hour later. Mariana had disappeared. Freddy started looking for her. Half an hour later, he fell into a big pit. It began to rain. The guy realized that the pit was going to get flooded. That was a big problem. Freddy couldn't swim. He found some stuff in the pit: a rope, a ball, and a bucket. How can Freddy get out? The ball will float up to the surface, and so will Freddy if he holds on to it. Freddy kept looking for Mariana. He came across a wizard's castle. The wizard had caught the girl and turned her into a frog. Freddy had to help her. The guy and the Mariana the frog found the wizard's book of potions. It described all the necessary antidotes. But first, the guys needed to understand which potion the wizard had used on Mariana. Freddy looked through the book. The first recipe included a slice of pumpkin, a slice of green apple, an orange wedge, and half a kiwi. The second recipe required a chamomile petal, 3 garlic cloves, and half of a red apple. The third potion should contain an orange wedge, a garlic clove, a banana peel, and a chamomile petal. Which potion did the wizard use? Take a look at the ingredients on the shelves. They only match the third recipe. Freddy helped Mariana turn back into a human. The wizard got very angry and teleported Freddy to jail. The guy was desperate. He had no idea how to escape. Suddenly, a creepy man opened the door and said, "Come on, I'm going to help you escape." Freddy followed him, but he slipped, fell to the floor, and hit his head. Freddy woke up in a pit. He didn't remember how he got there. If he went to the left, he would end up in the bathroom. If he went to the right, he would have to crawl through a tunnel filled with toxic waste that was leading outside. Which way should he choose? Freddy should go to the right. If he chooses the left corridor, he will end up in jail again. Look, this bathroom is on the territory of the jail. Freddy escaped, took a shower, and called Mariana right away. The wizard picked up the phone and said, "I have created enough evil clones of Mariana. I don't need her anymore. You can take her home now." Freddy rushed back to the wizard's castle and saw 4 Marianas. Can you help him find the real girl? This Mariana has claws instead of nails. She looks like a werewolf. This one has very sharp teeth and ears. She's probably a vampire. This lady has scales on her face. She's a mermaid. So the real Mariana is over there.
Anna runs a chocolate factory. She offers all her clients a special deal. Anyone can exchange 5 chocolate wrappers for 1 chocolate bar. Robert spent 2 weeks collecting the wrappers and managed to find 77.
Yeah!
Can you tell what maximum number of chocolates he can get from Anna? Robert can get a total of 19 chocolates. Here's how it works. First of all, 77 wrappers can be exchanged for 15 chocolates with 2 wrappers left. After unwrapping the new 15 chocolate bars, Robert will be able to exchange 15 wrappers for 3 more chocolates. Now he can use the remaining 2 wrappers and the new 3 wrappers to get 1 chocolate bar. 15 plus 3 plus 1 equals 19.
Oh, yeah.
Henry is an astronaut from Earth. He landed his spaceship on another planet in an unknown galaxy and began to explore the city and its citizens. Very soon, Henry felt a desperate need to go to the restroom, but when he saw these two doors leading to the ladies' and gentlemen's bathrooms, he got really confused. The problem is that Harry doesn't speak the local language, and he can't ask which door is for men and which is for women. Thankfully, he met a local guy, Mo, who could understand English. But he can speak only his native language. What two questions should Henry ask to figure out the right door? He should point at one of the doors and ask, "Is this the men's restroom?" Then he needs to remember Mo's reply and ask, "Am I a man?" If Mo says the same word, then the restroom Henry is pointing at must be for men. And if Mo says a different word, the restroom is for women. There were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy is still in the box. How can it be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took a candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. On a cold night, 4 friends were roaming around the neighborhood. At one point, they tried to get under one umbrella, but the umbrella was too small. However, all 4 of them managed to stay dry. How can that be possible? It's possible because it wasn't raining. Meet Erica and Jim. Do you have any idea why he pushed her? Because they're shooting a movie. Do you see that cameraman reflected in the window? Billy organized a betting game for his friends. According to the rules, he will place 2 candies, 1 yellow and 1 red, in a dark box. If the player picks the red candy, they will get $5,000. But if they pick the yellow candy, they will have to pay $500. Unfortunately, Billy's a liar. He put 2 yellow candies in the box instead of 1 yellow and 1 red. Billy's friend Wendy watched the players losing the game one by one. But when it was Wendy's turn, she won $5,000. How did she do it? She picked a candy and, without showing it to anyone, ate it. Then she picked the remaining candy, which was yellow, and showed it to everyone. Billy had to admit that the first candy had been red. Otherwise, everyone would find out he was a liar. Nina went speed dating and met 3 handsome guys. The next day, each of the guys asked her out. Can you help Nina make the best choice? Brad didn't even ask the girl if she wanted to go to the restaurant or not. Besides, he's pretty rude and bossy. She barely knows Rob. It's not safe to go to his place alone, so Nina should choose David. He looks nice and polite.
Hello.
Amy has 2 strings. The only thing she can say for sure is that when you light one end of either string, it takes exactly 1 hour to burn. Can you help Amy measure 45 minutes with the help of the strings? She should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will have burned completely. To measure the remaining 15 minutes, she should light the second end of the second string. When it's fully burned, we'll know for sure that 45 minutes have passed. Adam is a famous opera singer. He's going to perform for the king and queen for 7 days in a row. In return for his work, they should pay him 1/7 of a gold bar per day. Adam doesn't accept prepayments. He requires a daily payment, which is 1/7 of a gold bar. What's the fewest number of cuts they should make to be able to pay Adam each day? Just 2. Here's how it works. Day 1, cut 1/7 of the gold bar and give it to Adam. Day 2, cut 2/7 of the gold bar and give this piece to Adam. He'll give you 1/7 of the bar back. Day 3, give the singer the 1/7 piece you received the previous day. Day 4, give Adam 4/7 of the gold bar, and he will give you the 1/7 and 2/7 pieces as change. Day 5, give Adam the 1/7 part of the bar. Day 6, give him the 2/7 piece and get the 1/7 one as change. And finally, day 7, give Adam his final 1/7 piece of the gold bar. Jenny and Sam arrived at a picturesque campground. They had to set up a tent. There were 3 good spots: in the forest, in the field, and near the lake. Which place should they opt for? The best option is to choose the field. Wild animals live in the forest. As for the lake, look, a zombie is hiding in the bushes over there. Probably not the best neighbor. George was walking down the street. Suddenly, a wizard popped out of nowhere and teleported George to his castle. He offered the guy to choose between these 3 doors. There's a hungry tiger behind the first door. There's an angry dinosaur behind the second door. And the room behind the third door is filled with toxic gas. Which door should George choose? The second one. Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. After 30 weeks, the tree is completely covered with fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree needs to get half covered with oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks. Because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. In the ocean, there's an island. On the island, there's a house. In the middle of the house, there's a glass of water. Inside the glass of water, there's a coin. What's in the middle of the ocean? The correct answer is simple, the letter E. Harry went to a party. He liked these 4 ladies. He wanted to talk to one of them. Which one should he choose? Take a look at the first lady's hand. She's a zombie. The second lady has a vampire bite on her neck. She can turn into a vampire any minute and ruin the date. And the fourth lady is a ghost, so Harry should go and talk to the third lady.
Hello.
Detective Thomas received a call from Holly. She said, "Please come over. I got robbed. It happened so fast. I left my purse in the backseat of the car. When I stopped at the traffic light, someone opened the door and snatched my purse." Detective Thomas hit the road and rushed to the crime scene. But when he saw Holly, he realized that she was a liar right away. How? Holly has a 2-door car. How could a thief steal something from the back seat? There are 3 houses. One of the houses seems very weird. Can you tell which one of them looks suspicious? Look at the footprints. They lead to and from houses 1 and 3, so people come and go from those houses. As for the second house, the footprints only lead in one direction, inside. People come in, but they never go out. Take a look at this messy floor. Can you count the number of laptops that you can charge with the help of these extension leads? The cord of extension lead 3 is torn. As for the second lead, one of its outlets is broken. Extension lead 4 has only one outlet, which makes the entire thing pretty useless. And extension lead 6 doesn't have any cable at all. Now let's see what we can do about it. Connect extension lead 1 to the wall outlet. Then connect extension lead 2 to extension lead 1. This way, you can use 2 outlets from the first extension lead to charge 2 laptops. One outlet of extension lead 2 can be used to connect the 5th extension lead, and one of them is useless anyway. Now we can use 2 outlets from extension lead 2 and all 4 outlets of the 5th extension lead to charge 6 laptops. So the total number of outlets in use will be 8. Simple. Danny and Diana are spouses. They jog in the park every morning. To match every 2 steps Danny makes, Diana needs to take 3 steps. If both of them start with the right foot, how many steps would they make before their left feet are in the front at the same time? They'll never reach that goal. Here's how it'll go. I'm a 5-letter word under you. Remove the first letter and I'm above you. Remove the second and I'm around you. Who am I? Well, have you managed to crack this riddle? It's a chair. Great job!
Kim and Ashley are best friends. They decided to spend summer vacation in Italy together. They were very lucky to buy cheap plane tickets. Their flight was at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, when the girls arrived at the airport, they realized it was the wrong one. Now they have 2 options. Take a high-speed train for $100 to go to the right airport, or stay here and buy tickets for a later flight for $400. What should they choose? The second option. Look at the clock on the wall. It's 9:55 a.m. The boarding for their flight is already over. They won't make it even if they take the high-speed train. Kim and Ashley bought new tickets. They went to the airport restaurant to drink coffee. But one weird detail scared Kim away. She suggested they should leave that place as soon as possible. What did Kim see? This woman over there is a zombie. Wow, how did she get through security? When it was finally time to board the plane, it turned out there were no more economy class seats left. Kim and Ashley were offered to fly in business class. There, the girls saw 3 people. When the flight attendant served them fresh juice, she whispered that Kim and Ashley were extremely lucky. They were about to travel next to a famous Italian billionaire. Can you guess which of these passengers is the billionaire? This glamorous lady is a good candidate, but it's very unlikely a billionaire will wear a 100% polyester coat. This guy's business suit is very elegant, but look at his shoes. They seem quite cheap and worn out. This funny gentleman must be the real billionaire. Although his outfit is rather casual, his gold watch looks very expensive. The glamorous lady began to chat with Kim and Ashley. She told them she had recently visited an exotic island with her friends. Then she showed the girls some pictures. When the lady went to the bathroom, Ashley whispered to Kim, "This woman is a liar. She photoshopped this picture." How did Ashley know that? It's all about the shadows. They all look natural except for this one. The glamorous lady took a sip of her juice and started coughing. Suddenly, she fainted and fell into the billionaire's arms. He was ready to shout for help, but Kim stopped him, saying the woman was faking it. How did she know that? Look at the content of her bag. It's full of the billionaire's pictures and magazine articles. She also has a tattoo with his portrait on her leg. This woman is obsessed with him. It was lunchtime, and the billionaire offered Kim to play a game. There were 3 boxes. One of them contained a meal. There was a statement on each box, but only one of them was true. Can you help Kim figure out which box has food inside? If the food is in the first box, there are 2 true statements. And if the food is in the third box, there are also 2 true statements. But we need just 1 true statement. That's why the food can only be in the second box. Kim opened the box. She saw a delicious meal and a bank card. The billionaire said, "Congratulations, you've won $5 million. Enjoy your trip." Kim and Ashley landed in Rome and went to get their luggage. It turned out that Ashley had had the same suitcase as 2 other passengers, and they had a little quarrel. Can you help distribute the 3 suitcases among these people? The first suitcase belongs to this woman. It's covered in her dog's hair. The second suitcase has some traces of a star sticker. You've probably noticed it before on Ashley's bag. And the third suitcase belongs to this man. Since Kim and Ashley were now very rich, they decided to find a real estate agent who could help them rent a luxurious villa. They wanted to spend their vacation there. The agent showed them 3 houses. Can you help the girls choose the best one? There are cockroaches in the first house. They won't make very pleasant neighbors. The second house is too old. There's a crack in the wall which doesn't look safe. And the third house looks pretty good. As for the pool, it can be easily cleaned.
Yes!
Kim and Ashley left the villa and went sightseeing. When they returned, they found out that someone had stolen their passports from the safe. The girls called the police and they interrogated 3 suspects. The chef was too busy making dinner for Kim and Ashley. The cleaner was dealing with the pool all day, and the gardener said he had been outside planting flowers. He didn't notice anything suspicious. Who's lying? The gardener. If he planted the flowers, where are they? The police returned Kim and Ashley their passports and arrested the gardener. The next day, the girls went shopping. Sellers wanted to take advantage of rich and naive tourists and offered them overpriced souvenirs. Only one of these 3 items is a good deal.
Oh.
Can you guess which one? Take a look at this Venetian mask. It says "Made in China," which means that this mask can't be real. This magnet is of very low quality. The word Italy is spelled with an error. It simply can't cost $100. This blue cheese doesn't look fresh, but it's normal for this kind of product. This delicacy is the only thing that Kim and Ashley can buy here for a fair price. The ladies went to the local museum and got lost in its corridors. They found a strange basement with 3 doors. There was a time portal to the Middle Ages behind the first door. Behind the second door, there was an evil mummy. It cursed anyone who bothered it. Finally, the third door was protected with a laser alarm system. It cut through anything that touched the laser beams. Which door should the girls choose? The second one. The mummy is sleeping peacefully inside its sarcophagus. If Kim and Ashley are quiet and don't come close, they can just walk by it.
Bella went to the basement to find her old books. Suddenly, the bulb burned out. Bella took the new bulb to replace it, but the wires are very tangled. Can you find the correct switch that will turn on the bulb? It's the red switch. The best way to get the answer is to start from the bulb. It's been a long day. Bella finally went to sleep. But when she saw her bedroom, she yelled and ran away. Can you tell what's wrong here? Did you notice this zombie? Bella ran to the living room and shut the door. Is she safe here? Nope. Take a look at the mirror. Some stranger is inside the room. Bella and Shelley went hiking with their friends. 4 of them went into a completely empty lake. And then 8 people came out. How is this possible? Four people were sitting on the shoulders of the other 4 when they were getting inside the lake. The guys made a stop to have a picnic. They began to play football. During their play, Bella's boyfriend, Rob, busted his lips and ears and broke a couple of ribs and thighs. However, he still managed to play a professional match the very next day. How can this be possible? Rob knocked on his food plate accidentally while playing. He had pig lips, ears, and ribs, along with chicken thighs. When he knocked on his plate, he busted his food. On the way home, the guys went through a field. they saw a cow. It walked 30 feet north, 30 feet east, 30 feet south, and finally walked 30 feet west. All this time, where was its tail pointing? Can you solve this mystery? Downwards, of course. The guys rented 4 scooters in 4 different places and hit the road. They agreed to meet in a cafe at the gas station. Here's the map. Can you tell which scooter will reach the destination first? The third one. Bella and Shelley were trying to get the perfect gift for their father's birthday. Finally, they found this beautiful vintage watch, but they couldn't afford it. The seller offered them a deal. "Solve my riddle, and I'll make a 90% discount." The sisters agreed. The seller took out a $50 bill and asked, "What's the easiest way to double my money?" Can you help them solve this mystery? They should put the bill in front of a mirror. The sisters decided to have lunch in a cozy little cafe. The cook offered them tomato soup, mushroom salad, chicken wings, octopus, and mushroom pizza. Can you help them choose the safest food? There are mirror shards in these chicken wings. Probably not the healthiest option. I'm pretty sure those mushrooms are poisonous too. This octopus is still alive, and this soup must be several weeks old. So, Bella and Shelley should choose the mushroom pizza. After lunch, the local barista offered the sisters free coffee if they managed to solve his tricky riddle. Here's the task. Name a 10-letter word in English that can be typed using only the top rows of your computer keyboard. Can you help the ladies get their free coffee? And the correct answer is typewriter. Great job! Shelley got a job at a restaurant. One night, a cook, a cobbler, and a doctor went to dinner together and asked Shelley to split the bill equally among them. When the bill arrived, it was for 4 people. How can this be possible? The 4th person was the knight. It was just misspelled as night. Shelley and Bella were walking down the street. Suddenly, they saw this creepy shadow. Can you guess what's going on here? Should they be worried? Nope, it's Halloween. The guy is just walking around and scaring people in his witch costume. See, he's wearing sneakers. Shelley and Bella saw this mysterious magic shop sign and decided to go get some tarot readings. As soon as they entered the shop, a wicked witch locked the door and said, "I will make your biggest dreams come true if you crack my code. But if you fail, you'll stay here forever." Then she gave them the following clues. A. 981. One number is perfectly placed. B. 924. Everything is incorrect. C. 093. 2 numbers are part of the code, but are in the wrong places. D. 147. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. E. 783. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. Can you help Shelley and Bella? From clues A and B, we learned that 9 is not in the code. It also means that 8 or 1 is in the code for sure. According to clue B, we know that 9, 2, and 4 are not in the code. From clue C, we know that 0 and 3 are in the final code. Clue E tells us that 7 and 8 are not in the final code because we already know that 3 is. And clue D tells us that 1 is also in the code because 4 and 7 are not. So, the correct code is 301.
Are you ready for a new detective journey? Then buckle your seatbelts and let's go. Mary was walking through the park when she spotted a hungry kitten. The woman decided to share her snack with the animal. Unfortunately, there was a stream between her and the kitty. She squatted down to attract the cat's attention and showed it the food. The animal was next to her in no time. There was no bridge over the stream, and still, the cat wasn't wet. How is it possible? It happened in the winter and the stream was frozen. In a lake, there is a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long will it take for the patch to cover half the lake? The patch doubles in size every day. So on the 47th day, the patch will be half the size it is on the 48th day. You are in a place called Bobby's World, and there is only one law there. There is a mirror, but no reflection. There is pizza with cheese, but not with ham. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. What is the law in this strange world? Everything in Bobby's World must contain double letters in its name. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's the young woman with a dog sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her. Look at these two guys. One is big and burly, and the other is short and thin. They're in a cafe, drinking identical drinks. The shorter one gulps his drink down in one go and leaves. The other man sips his drink slowly. Then he falls to the floor and is taken to a hospital. Can you explain why it happened if they had the same drinks? The drinks contained poisoned ice cubes. The man who enjoyed his drink gave these ice cubes time to melt and release the poison, while the other man didn't. An Arab sheikh told his two sons that they had to race their camels to a distant city to see who would inherit his fortune. The one whose camel arrived last would win. After wandering aimlessly for days, the brothers asked a wise man for advice. After listening to his opinion, they jumped on the camels and raced as fast as they could to their destination. What did the man tell them? The wise man told them to switch their camels. Look at these two guys. They're wearing similar clothes, both holding coffee cups, and in general, seem to be perfectly okay. But one of them is a werewolf in disguise. Which one? Look at the guy on the right. There are strange marks on the rim of his cup. Were they left by his fangs? Also, his pupils are a bit elongated. And there is a paw print design on the plastic bag he's holding. Is it a special store for werewolves? A rich entrepreneur disappeared from his office. The only thing he left behind was a note with the numbers 6, 4, 9, 10, and 11 and a calendar. The police have 5 suspects. All of them the businessman's acquaintances. James, Kevin, Carol, Jason, and Laura. Who knows something about the man's disappearance? Jason. The numbers mean months of the year, and the first letters of these months make up his name, Jason. A furious traveler at the airport claimed the contents of his baggage had disappeared. When I got my suitcase, it was empty. I want you to compensate for what I've lost. After checking the passenger's info, airport security found out that he had indeed left London with a heavy suitcase, and now his bag was empty and a bit wet. The whole situation was suspicious. Can you figure out what happened? The passenger left London with a suitcase full of ice. During the flight, the ice melted, and the man demanded compensation for the lost belongings. Matthew bought a new smartphone and a phone case. He paid $510. The gadget cost $500 more than the case. How much did Matthew pay for the phone? He paid $505. Last night, on a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. Locals believe that the kidnapper was a werewolf, and you are invited to investigate this case. There are 3 suspects, Jack, Levi, and Luke, but all of them have alibis. Jack was walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi was choosing a silver ring for himself in the mall. And Luke, who is a museum guard, had a night shift at work. Which guy is guilty? Jack was walking under a full moon and didn't turn into a werewolf. Levi wasn't afraid to put on silver rings. The werewolf and potential kidnapper is Luke. Detective Black's assistant, Josh, was late for work. When he arrived, he told his boss the following story. I was driving along the highway when I saw an unconscious man lying on the left side of the road. I picked him up and took him to the nearest hospital. Finally, he came to his senses. He told me he had been pushed out of a moving vehicle, but the bag with all his money and documents was left inside. Strangely, Detective Black told Josh that the man had lied to him. How did he figure it out? If the man had indeed been pushed out of the car, he would have been lying on the right side of the road, not the left one. Criminals caught 3 men and locked them in a basement with only one window, high above the floor. The men decided that at least one of them needed to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on the top still couldn't reach the window. But then they did something, and one of them managed to escape. Can you figure out what they did? The tallest of them climbed on the top, and since, proportionally, this man also had longer arms, he managed to reach the window. You find yourself in a room with no windows. There are 3 doors leading out of the room. Suddenly, a big screen on the wall lights up. You read, "Behind each of these doors there is some danger. The first door leads to a scorching hot desert, several steps, and the sun will burn you. Behind the second door, there is a hungry alligator that hasn't eaten for a year. And the third door hides a pool with icy water. To get to freedom, you'll have to swim across it. Which door should you choose to survive?" Alligators can indeed go without food for up to 3 years, which means that the creature behind the second door is hungry and dangerous. Freezing water can cause cold shock in an unprepared swimmer. That's why you should choose the first door. You just need to wait for the sun to go down and walk through the desert.
Oh, yes.
James came to a cafe to drink coffee. But when a waitress brought him a cup, the man found a fly in his drink. He called the waitress and told her to bring him another coffee. She did. But when James took a sip from his cup, he got really angry and asked to call a manager. He complained that the waitress had brought him the same coffee. How did he understand it? The new coffee was already sweet because James had already put sugar in his first cup before finding the fly.
Wendy is an art teacher. This morning, someone pranked her by putting glue on her coffee mug. She questioned 3 suspects. Blair says,
I didn't do it. I was too busy painting these beautiful flowers.
Jason says,
I overslept and came to the studio later than you.
and Zara says,
Why would I do that? You're my favorite teacher.
who did it? It was Zara. There's a glue pen in her pocket. Wendy gives her students a task and leaves the studio. After a while, she returns and sees this painting. She says, "Wow, who painted this masterpiece?" 3 students claim to be the author of the painting. Can you guess who tells the truth? To solve this mystery, we should take a look at their palettes. Only this student has all colors that match the painting. Wendy goes outdoors to buy some food for lunch. Suddenly, she sees a cyclist lying on the ground. Can you guess what happened here? In fact, the car hit the ketchup bottle. The cyclist just fell nearby and got stained. Wendy receives a delivery. 3 identical boxes with artist supplies. All boxes are labeled incorrectly. Wendy needs to label all boxes correctly by opening just one of them. Can you help her? Since all 3 boxes contain the wrong items, Wendy should open the 3rd box. If it contains watercolor, the first box will definitely have brushes, and the second box, watercolors and brushes. And if she finds brushes in the 3rd box, the first one will contain both watercolors and brushes, while the second one, watercolors only. The delivery guy walks outside and yells, "Hey, call the police! Someone stole my car!" The police begin an investigation and find these 3 suspects. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? The first guy is just coloring his fence, and the third one is a gardener. But the second guy is hiding a lockpick in his shirt pocket, so he's the thief. Wendy comes to a party. 3 guys invite her to dance, but one of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first guy is just wearing a werewolf costume. The second one has some scratches, but it proves nothing. But the third one has a real wolf tail. After the party, Wendy wakes up in a cell made of ice. She only has a pickaxe in her hand. Meanwhile, her best friend Zach is locked in a similar cell with a drill. Can you predict who will escape? Only Wendy will escape. Zach can't use a drill without electricity. The next day, Wendy arrives at the art studio. She leaves her takeaway coffee at the desk and goes to the toilet. Wendy returns and finds out that someone had drunk her beverage. She checks the cup's surface for fingerprints, but she only finds her own traces. Wendy questions 3 suspects among students. Blair says, "Sorry, I've been washing my brushes in the sink. I didn't look at your desk." Jason says, "Sorry, I don't like coffee, and besides, I've been streaming stories for my followers." And Robin says, "I was changing in the dressing room to be a model for portrait class." Can you spot the thief? It was Jason. Take a look at his back pocket. He's hiding rubber gloves. That's why he didn't leave any fingerprints. Wendy receives an emergency call. Someone had stolen paintings from her art studio gallery. Wendy interrogates 3 suspects among the visitors. Sarah says, "I came here to buy some of your paintings, but when I entered the gallery, the walls were empty." Jill says, "I went blind 7 years ago, so I didn't see anything. I only visit this gallery to use your toilet." And Robert says, "Why would I rob this place? I'm the major investor." Who's lying? Jill. If she's really blind, why did she bring this photo camera with her? Wendy carries out entrance exams for art students. One of these 3 artists is left-handed. Can you guess who? It's the third guy. It's easier for lefties to hold a palette in their right hand and paint with their left. This way, his left hand works and the right one stays static. During exams, one guy named Bobby gets very sick and faints. Wendy calls the ambulance and takes him to the hospital. She's just met Bobby, so she doesn't know his relatives, but still, Wendy manages to notice his wife in the hospital right away. Can you spot her too? It's the first lady. They have identical tattoos, and the third lady has a similar mole on her cheek, so she's probably Bobby's sister. Doctors suspect poisoning, so they keep Bobby in the hospital to make tests. Meanwhile, Wendy returns to the studio and questions 3 witnesses among the applicants. Sheila says, "Bobby didn't look healthy in the first place. I don't blame him. Everyone was stressed out during exams." Sam says, "I have no idea who poisoned him, but this person is heartless." And Xavier says, "I think Bobby's just pretending to be ill to get accepted out of pity." The next day, Bobby calls Wendy with the test results. He was poisoned. Wendy calls the police right away and they arrest one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Sam. He knew about the poison before the test results were ready. The next morning, Wendy enters the studio and sees that someone has left a hot mess. Canvases are torn and paints are spilled all over the floor. Can you count all the brushes in this room? "13. What about the glass jars? Can you count the exact number? There are 8 glass jars in this studio, including this broken one. Wendy asks her 3 students, "Who's responsible for this mess?" Nina replies, "I think it was David. He never washes his hands and clothes. He's such a weirdo." David says, "It was Nina. She's just jealous because her paintings weren't selected for an art exhibition." And Amber says, "I don't know who did it. Yesterday, I was feeling sick and stayed home." Who's responsible for this mess? Take a look at the canvas frames. They're all signed. The only canvas that wasn't torn has David's name on it. Therefore, he ruined the studio and his rival's works. Wendy asks her students to the park for an en plein air class. Can you see any weird details in this area? This is an apple tree, but why are there so many oranges under it? 2 students have painted almost identical pictures. Can you help Wendy find 3 differences? Here they are.
Lucy and her best friends, Lily, Joy, and Rhonda, were having a pajama party. They decided to watch a movie in the living room. Lucy went to the kitchen to get some snacks. When she returned, she saw that Lily was lying on the floor unconscious. Rhonda said, "I was on the phone talking to my boyfriend. Suddenly, Joy hit Lily with a pillow and she fell down. I don't know why." Joy said, "Rhonda's lying. She hit Lily with a pillow very hard, on purpose." Who's lying? Both of them. There are no pillows in this room. After the movie, the girls decided to play with a Ouija board. They called the ghost of a famous singer. Suddenly, the pointer on the board started moving by itself and wrote this: "Evil Lots Yad 3 Eva Hoy." Can you help Lucy and her friends decode this message? It says, "You have 3 days to live." The girls freaked out and interrupted the session. Lily offered everyone to take some pictures. They took many cute photos, but when they scrolled through the gallery, they freaked out even more.
No.
Why? All 4 friends are in this picture. But then, who took it? Lucy told her friends it was time to get some sleep. But as soon as they entered the room, they ran out screaming. Why? Look at the mirror. It reflects a creepy shadow waving at them. Eventually, Lucy offered her friends to sleep in her parents' bedroom, and she opted for the couch in the living room. The TV was on, and it calmed her down. In the middle of the night, she heard some noise from the bedroom and hurried to check on her friends. All of them seemed to be sleeping. Can you guess which one wandered outside? Lily. She has leaves in her hair. The next day, Lucy, Rhonda, and Lily met in the classroom. They were very concerned. Why? This is Joy's desk, and it's empty. She didn't come to school. Neither did she warn anybody. Look, Lucy is carrying a cup of coffee with Joy's name. Joy didn't show up and didn't answer her friends' calls. Lucy, Rhonda, and Lily went to visit her. They found the girl in bed, under a blanket. The friends got very scared. Can you tell why? Joy has covered the window with a blackout curtain, and the shape of her ears and teeth has changed. She's turning into a vampire. Lily decided to stay and take care of Joy. Meanwhile, Rhonda offered Lucy to visit her Aunt Vera. She ran a magic shop with different potions. When Vera heard about what happened to Joy, she said,
"Okay, I need 3 ingredients to cook a healing drink. Here's the first one. When it comes to me, you go when you see red and stop at green."
Can you guess the ingredient?